3000.
What is doing? I hate doing it, but I'd like everyone to like, subscribe, share the content. Sharing is really important. If you like the content that I'm bringing you with the 3000 podcast, you want to help us grow, make sure you do all that stuff. Follow us on Instagram, like, subscribe, share, do all that good shit. Now to the episode.
3000.
What is doing? My name's Maloney. This is the 3000 podcast. I'm joined today by the first ever podcast returning guest, Dougo, founding member of the Cave Clan. Thanks for coming, man.
Cheers. No worries. Pleased to be here.
I think you were episode number 9 in the old studio. That was like a year and some time ago. So it's awesome to have somebody who's such a vital part of Melbourne come back for the first returning guest.
No worries. Good to be here. Yeah, that was right. We met at that pub in South Melbourne, I think.
Yep.
Had a beer.
We did. And then you came down and had a beer in Frankston.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
that was good. Yeah, good food there. What was that place?
January. It's called now the Jackson Street Tavern, but it was they were just taking it over.
Yeah.
Clinton stuff who own it, but they had it as a different name then. But now it's the Jackson Street Young Street Tavern.
Okay. Yeah. No, that was a good day.
Good day.
Yes.
And we're sweating it up in the new studio, man. What do you think here? What do you think?
I love it. Yeah, I like it. It's good seeing it in the flesh.
Does it feel like you're sort of underground in a cave or in a fucking drain or something?
No.
It doesn't. Oh. But it's warm, isn't it?
That's good. It's warm.
It's warm and humid.
Yeah, whereas tunnels have a nice cool breeze. That's one of the reasons we go in them in the summer to get away from the heat.
Right.
Which you'll find out one day if you ever get off your ass.
I will. Well, Woodsy will come and he'll film it.
Woodsy, you need to come along.
We'll get him in a drain. We'll do it sooner rather than later. But he doesn't like wearing shoes, man. So we're gonna have to get a pair of shoes on him.
Will you wear thongs? I wear thongs in drains a bit.
Do ya?
Yeah. Like you don't normally tell people wear thongs, but yeah, I wear thongs.
Right.
I hate wearing shoes. Well, if you drive and you end up wet shoes and you put them in your car, and then you go home and you forget, and then your missus the next day is like, "What the?" Because especially on a hot day, you leave dirty drain socks and shoes in a car. Yeah, whoever gets in the car after you, apologies to Sarah, all the time she's had to do it. But
the perils of being a drain explorer,
mate. I've got that many pairs of shoes now, and I've gradually been. Like there's a thing now where people will liquid nails old shoes up on drain walls and things like that, and sort of an art type thing.
right?
And I've sort of got into that, so I've been getting all my. This last Saturday, there's a new group. They've been around for a year. They're called the Tunnel Toads, and they're basically a new cave clan
In Melbourne.
Yes, in Melbourne, and they they're very, very like Cave Clan. They're set up in the same way. And last Saturday they had their awards night called the
Their version of the Clannies.
yes, their version of the Clannies, which were the Golden Toads, which I went along to.
As a special guest, as an honorary toady.
They keep talking to me about being an honorary toady, but I'm more worried about the backlash having me involved in their group would cause. But no, I've met them a few times and I've done a few drain walks with them, and they at the end of the awards, they pulled out a shoe that I'd left tied to their car after I'd been in drain, just stinking drain shoes that I tied onto one of their cars because I left a bit before them. Anyway, that was like 6 months ago. Well, they've pulled this shoe out, they've painted it gold and presented it to me. And then Rusco's son, so Rusco is a guy who's been in the Cave Clan since 1989,
Yep.
1990. So
Which is only in its first early few years.
yeah, that's right, the early days. See episode 9 for more information. I told you I wasn't going to do that. And then, so his son is now in the cave, or he's sort of affiliated with Cave Clan, but he's in the Tunnel Toads. Yeah, and he actually did a shotgun, whatever you call it.
Shoey.
The shoey, yeah, that's it, with my old painted gold drain shoey.
That had been in the drain for 6 months or so.
While it'd been
tied to a car.
Yeah, tied to a car and taken home and kept especially for we'll save this shoe for one day. We'll be able to do something.
And you're a big fella, Dougo, so I reckon you've got a size 13 or 14 shoe.
I have.
There you go. It is big. Look at that. What size is it?
That's 15.
15. Jesus.
So there was plenty to drink if he filled up his old can. But anyway, so I filmed it and I sent it to his father. His father wasn't there. I dobbed him in.
Right.
And I said to him, I'm telling you can hear on the video, I'm telling your dad.
Yeah. Is it cool to see the generational cave clan and whatever the newer urban explorer type drain dwelling people are? Is it cool to see that sort of generational stuff happen?
Yeah. Like this is, I guess one of the reasons that Tunnel Toads came about was because it was getting harder to get into the cave clan. The scene was getting bigger and whatever. Do
you put that down to the explosion of urbex or what is it?
Yeah. And social media, like it just made urbex more...
No, you stay where you are. I'm just going to move that to there. Yep.
It just made urbex more approachable. Social media made urbex more approachable to a lot of people. So, and it just coincided with a time where Cave Clan, the people that were sort of handling things with Cave Clan, were a bit more strict about who got in. So, which led to the Tunnel Toads just going, we'll start our own group. But they're very friendly. They're in with Cave Clan. They do things together and that, and there's not like you can't be in one and not in the other. So it's all pretty. Yeah. But no, it's good. It is good seeing. The awards night was a bit of a spin out. Like they did a really good job.
Did it take you back to the cavies days?
Yeah. Except they
clan, was it clan? No, what is
Clannies.
it? Clannies.
But they when we started them, like theirs was much more professional. I think we had a kerosene lantern for the lighting, and that was it. We had a garbage bin as a stand. And we had a good location in this big drain, and there was like 15 of us. These guys had projection and they had an amazing setup. Their trophies, our trophies were gold. They were plastic bowling pins, painted silver or gold. They had these things that were 3D printed that glowed in the dark, and and they were.
They got technology on their side.
Yes, and it's a lot more economical and all that. So that.
But you guys prided yourself on being very DIY and low budget.
True, yeah, and Sid Clan, when they came along, they were a bit more. Well, we always saw them as high tech and modern, but in the end, realistically, they weren't. They were just, compared to us, everyone seemed high tech, but yeah, no, we everything we did was pretty low budget.
Was there ever beefs and run-ins with these other sort of urban? You didn't call it urbex. So if you back in the Cave Clan days, if you ran into another crew, what would you call them? Just another gang of explorers?
Yeah. No. It was like, oh shit, someone else is doing it too. Like Drain Dwellers, who I'm sort of working on doing it. Drain Dwellers video. I've managed to catch up with Blade, who was one of the founders. They helped keep the Cave Clan going, this other group, Drain Dwellers. We sort of thought, after a couple of years, it was like, it's not happening. People aren't joining, we're not finding heaps of locations. We're finding a bit, and my little brother goes to me one day, there's a message written under Normandy Avenue bridge near Northcote Golf Course saying, Dougo, ring Blade of the Drain Dwellers, and a phone number. I was like, that's weird. So I went, found the number, and I scribbled it out so he wouldn't get pranked. And then I rang him, and that's how we met Drain Dwellers. And then, there was like 3 of them, and we thought, cool, another group of guys. And it sort of rejuvenated, got us passionate about it. Sort of a bit of showing off, showing them the tunnels we'd found. And then we started finding stuff together, and and then at the same time, another group called Tunnel Team, who a few of them are still members, or a couple of them are still members all these decades later. But so Drain Dwellers, that message under the bridge, we were sort of, at that time, we were talking about, it's not working, let's chuck it in.
Yep. Because you wanted to expand, and you felt you'd hit a bit of a...
I'd always planned, I set it up with the intention of meeting more people and getting more people and finding locations and that. Because back then there wasn't. I mean, there probably was the internet, but it was, it wasn't like it is today, and wasn't so user friendly. You needed to be a real geek to understand, and even then it was just geek to geek. It wasn't like now how it is nowadays. So I wanted to create something where we could share information and gather information, because local knowledge was the best, and probably is still today. Local knowledge is the best way of getting locations, of like finding cool places to explore.
And before the internet, you had your Il Drano zine.
Yeah.
And you were nice enough when you did the first episode to gift me a couple of copies of that zine. That started in '89, so that's got to be arguably one of the oldest zines in Melbourne. Definitely the oldest urban exploring thing in Melbourne.
Definitely the urban exploring one. I mean, I think zines have been around a lot longer, but I just found, I might have mentioned this before, but we sort of had a captive audience. So people are like, oh, you did it for 30 years or whatever, but it was like we had people that wanted the next issue to come out, because then they could find out what we had planned, because in the zine we'd put, next month we're doing this, and we'd have a list of coming events.
Yep. So you were organised.
Very organised when it came to drone exploring groups. But I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, but you must have. Was there other zines that you saw that made you think we could do that, or you really were sort of pioneering something that you're in uncharted territory as far as you knew?
As far as I knew, it was uncharted territory. I can't remember seeing, I wasn't going to polyester books then.
Yep.
That wasn't until years later, and I started saying, oh, the zines are there's a zine scene. And then. So at the time, I wasn't, with a lot of the things I did, it was more about building the group. Like, I wasn't thinking about, whether there was a zine scene. Like, for example, stencils. We started doing stencils really early days.
Yep.
And for me, it was just a way of getting the Cave Clan's name out there.
Stickers too.
Stickers. And stickers were like, I think, when we started stickers, there was political stickers around.
Mm-hmm. I remember first non-political stickers I saw were Cave Clan. I'm talking late 80s, early 90s. So you guys were on the early days of that scene.
Yeah. I think the first stickers, as I said, the first stickers I've seen that I saw were political ones, were National Action, were like Stop the Asian Invasion and things like that. And then there was another one that I can't even remember. I used to see them on buses. It was also political. It was free a country or free a political person. I can't even remember. It was that long ago. And then not long after we started doing it, it was the same time, maybe a few years later. I think we're talking about 88. So I think maybe people started the hello, I am Funky Fresh Homeboy, whatever their tag is.
Yep.
Whoops and whatever. Done it. Those hello stickers started popping up with tags on them. And but one of the things that got us into it was, I think, we were a bit political. We were a bit left, especially with Woody, him being a socialist and all that. And we started sticking stickers all over the National Action stickers. They had stickers everywhere. They were blue rectangulars, and they were rectangular stickers with blue print on it, white with blue print on it.
And they were fascist sort of organisation.
Yeah.
So you were going against them to try and do what you thought was right.
Yeah. Well, we'd just go to the pub and we'd put up Cave Clan stickers when we walk between pubs or walking home or whatever. And when National Action would do a sticker blitz, you could sort of tell where they'd been. And then we'd go and cover them all up. We'd put Cave Clan stickers all over them. We used to have, we just have the normal Cave Clan ones, but then we had ones that were basically paying out on them. Mm-hmm. But I have told this story before, but the bit I haven't told is, And you probably, if people do a Google, they'll get more accurate information than what I'm about to give you. But the guy who was in charge of National Action ended up going to jail for stabbing someone for giving National Action shit, like for dissing them. He got in a fight with them.
You were playing with fire, putting shit on their stickers.
So in hindsight, yeah, and the bravado would have been if we had been covering over their stickers, and they caught us. They were like, we would have been like, yeah, fuck you guys,
Yeah.
But it turns out this guy's fucking nuts, and it makes sense.
Totally.
So that was got us sort of putting stickers up everywhere. There was a place in across from just up from the Collingwood Town Hall, across from our post office box in Abbotsford, which we've still got up. We've had it since 1990, called Jack Split, and they used to sell stickers, and they used to have all these different odd-shaped ones and coloured ones, and they'd sell them for like $7 a box clearance, and it was $7 for 200 sheets. So I used to just go in there, and they'd have at their front counter. It was more like a business thing. It wasn't a shop.
Yep.
And they'd have this shelf with all these clearance stickers on it. And I used to just walk up, and they'd see me coming up the stairs, and they'd be like, "Here he is," and I'd just grab boxes.
You're getting rid of their shit, though.
Yeah, yeah. And then we'd go and photocopy. They would just photocopy. We'd just photocopy our own stickers onto them. But we had thousands, and there was a period there where Melbourne was just covered in. Green rectangular stickers or blue or red. There was all different shapes, round ones.
And at that time, though, because stickers weren't as prevalent as now, like now you go anywhere, you'll see stickers all over the place, whether it's graffiti dudes, whether it's people advertising their business, whether it's just people that think the slap culture's cool. But then people would see a sticker, think it's either politically motivated or they weren't really sure. So that would also add to the... the mystique of the Cave Clan, with people going, what is this Cave Clan?
And people didn't know. People, when we were putting the stickers up, no one sort of knew what it meant. And then when we started, and they couldn't contact us. So it was kind of just like a form of tagging, I guess. And also shits and giggles we were making up, trying to be funny on them. But then when we put the PO box on them, most of the first letters we got were like, "I like Nick Cave too," or "Oh, are you guys into the clan of the Cave Bear or something?" Like no one knew what we were talking about. So then we started doing media, like a current affair and that, and then people knew, and then that's when it sort of really took off, like started growing. So the stickers, played a huge part in the Cave Clan's formation. I've been saying sort of in recent years, I've been saying to people, "Oh, look, trying to be modest. If I didn't start Cave Clan, and I know I started with Woody and Sloth, but I was the obsessed one that pushed it.
The main driving force.
Yeah. Like Woody pretty quickly stopped doing it, and Sloth sort of came along to stuff when I'd invite him and that. But I always sort of say, it would have happened eventually. Maybe I started urban exploration 10 or 15 years earlier in Australia than it would have. But then someone said to me recently, and I never thought of it this way, they said, but if I didn't start it, it might have been started, and apologies to anyone I'm about to insult. I'm not trying to insult you. The difference between me and you is it might have been started by like a geeky exploring person who was as obsessed as I was, and it would have been all secret, and no one would know about it. It would be genuine, would be legitimately underground. Like no one would know about it, and it wouldn't be like it is now. And I'm sure some people listening to this are saying, "Yeah, fuck, that's how it should be," and then we wouldn't have all these people doing stupid shit now and whatever. You can't predict that when there's no internet. You can't predict shit like that's going to happen. But So I think thinking of from that point of view for the first time in my life, I am sort of happy that I put the effort into it, because I'm glad. I like the way that Australia or Australian urbex is a bit more, have a beer. We still do the proper stuff. Drain exploring is almost considered like B-grade urbex, you know. But
Even though it was before urbex, really.
yeah, I mean, on a large scale, I mean, people have been exploring for, you know, hundreds and hundreds, like in the Paris catacombs and that. There's been, I think we were the first organised urban exploring, like, and we started spreading, and, you know, like, I've mentioned this a bit before, that we started, that's how I define Cave Clan. People get shitty with me sometimes, oh, Cave Clan didn't start it, and all this sort of shit, and I'm not saying they did, but even where we were, there was, I think last time we mentioned Drainiacs, you were like, that's a cool name. Drainiacs, they were around, you know, sorry, just burping. They were around, you know, like 20 years before us. Yep. And, you know, in America, there's unis have exploring groups too that would explore the steam tunnels and all that. Yeah, so it's been around, just hasn't been called urbex. It's been called, we used to just call it doing shit. I would call you and say, hey, you want to go do some shit?
Do some shit.
And we're like, yeah, man, yeah, I'll just, you know, whatever, give me a moment, you know, I'll get my shit together and I'll meet you, you know, meet your time zone.
And then we'll do some shit. Do you remember the first time people said, oh, you're doing urban exploring, you're doing urbex? Do you remember when you first heard that and thinking, oh, I don't know about this name, but now you sort of have to embrace it whether you like it or not?
Look, I've never liked, like, even before that, like, when Sydney Cave Clan were much more technical and much more by the book, and they used a lot of their terms were like the ladders that you climb up to a manhole. The water board who build the tunnels call them step irons. I hated calling them step irons. I was like, their rungs or whatever. I hated using, you know, the correct term or the official term. And so every time a name came along, I never liked, I mean, Ninjalicious, Canadian explorer, he coined the phrase, or coined the name, urban exploration. He's long gone.
And when does that date back to, when he did that?
That'd be in the 90s. But he's passed away. He passed away from cancer. And then Silogen from Sydney, when they started up a zine, Sid Clan started up their own zine, and he shortened it to urbex, which is now what everyone calls it. And he was like, oh, I wish I never did that, but probably would have happened anyway. But and then but everything, like, I hate the term bandos. I still hate it. When for abandoned buildings, it's just called bandos now. You know, even newbies, we always just called them new explorers. If you came along, oh yeah, Maloney is a new explorer. Now you're a newbie, but newbies like been around for.
It's an internet thing.
Yeah, and it's been around for. Apparently, it goes back to Navy or something. That's in the Navy in America. They call new. What do they call Marines? Yeah, they call them newbies. But yeah, this is a liftomatic.
Yeah.
So these changed urban exploring too, because Rusco, who I mentioned earlier, is Rusco, whose son is now a second generation explorer. Rusco, I'm presuming he based it on something, but he was the first to make them. And this one is made by a guy in Sydney called Drain Bandit, or DB. He makes them and he leaves them hanging in drains in Sydney, and other things. He's really into. He just gets scrap metal and makes them. He sent me this one because the previous one, when I was flying up to Brisbane, the Tullamarine confiscated it because they thought it was a weapon.
It'd be heavy, man.
Yeah, have a feel.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, you could hurt someone with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So this is used to open latches and things like that?
Yeah. So what you would generally do is... And the original ones, the liftomatics, which I call these liftomatics, I don't know what DB calls them. We originally called them liftomatics. They were a bit lighter, and you would put... So if you're with four of you, and there was a big square manhole, and they'd have the four holes in a corner, depending how jammed they were, so you would hammer it, like you would... And you'd crack the seal.
Uh-huh. Because they expand, obviously, with heat and everything.
Yeah, and then depending how heavy it is, you'd have... Sometimes you can rip them off with one, or you might have two, one in each hand, but then sometimes they're really jammed, so you might have someone else, you know. But yeah, so they'd get the manholes off. that changed things. That made getting into drains a lot easier.
And he's leaving them in drains for other explorers to find.
In Sydney, I don't know if he still does that. I was going to say get him on the podcast, but he's Sydney. You have to do the 2000 podcast.
Oh, that's all right. We're expanding.
Yeah, I've heard you. Yeah.
You got to grow.
I've been listening. I'm surprised how many, like when I was mentioning before about someone saying to me about, if you didn't start doing urbex the way you did, it would have been it would have been a sliding doors thing. I was surprised how many of your podcasts, your episodes, I think maybe 3 others that, that mention Cave Clan or mention me, are starting to get a bit like, fuck, I am a superstar. Then I realised, okay, nah, probably not. Probably not.
But you've definitely left your mark around Melbourne and with that urban exploring stuff, whether you wanted to be a part of the early days of that culture or not, but also, runs in... You look, I don't go into drains really at all.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that now, yes, you'll get me in there, but I'm sure that you would see now how much more, and with graffiti in the drains, because I just follow people on Instagram, all the drains, there's graph everywhere. So people are going through there, and that is leaning into that graffiti culture. It's leaning into the the sticker culture, the zine culture. You were there. So people are going to put the Cave Clan down as the first time they sort of found out about it, a lot of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It crosses a lot of different subcultures.
And, I guess as I'm getting older, and I've never been proud. Like, I've never been like, brag. I never bragged about it. So talking on podcasts, and although I've done a few in recent years, the media stuff we did is different because you're just saying the same shit over and over again.
They're asking the same shit questions.
Yeah. So, but talking about when you get sort of the awkward questions, I say awkward because it's when people talk to you about, man, you created this thing or you did this thing, and I realise that I just don't feel comfortable talking about it. I'm getting better at talking about it, but
you got to document these things though.
Yeah, and that's why with my YouTube channel, I'm sort of aiming now, more telling like stories about certain things, and I still want to do, which I'm not sure if we've discussed this before, like maybe when we were at Frankston that time, or maybe in the previous episode, but and I'm still pushing to do this, is a podcast. At least the first dozen episodes would be like old farts like me, but I'm sort of more interested in the funny stories, like the yarns, and I don't think a podcast would work where you'd be saying, oh yeah, we went in this beautiful bluestone tunnel and then it was a lovely red brick arch. I want to tell the interesting stories about getting into that tunnel, or even ones that are just Cave Clan people and not necessarily about exploring. There's a podcast called Chasing Bandos, and I'm not sure why, and he built it up. He went through all that shit that you're going through of building it up and getting a following.
It's Melbourne based?
No. He's in Europe somewhere. Right. And he started his podcast, and I went on that yonks ago. But yeah, everyone's like, where'd he go? He had like thousands of followers. I think he did a couple of 100 episodes, got a really good following, and he's just stopped doing it.
I can kind of see where it's coming from, because it is a lot of work and there's not a lot of reward. Like, it's great, you get to meet people, it's heaps of fun, but it's very hard to make that worthwhile. And even personally, I feel like I'm letting my actual business slide by putting everything into this, and I guess that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe family, maybe his partner or his kids eventually said, you're spending way too much time on this. There's a lot of factors.
I did when I was reading about, this is just recently, like as in the last few days, I've been reading about him, Greg Abandon, his name was.
We'll look him up, I'll see, yeah.
And I did think of some of the things I've heard you say, and I guess when you're saying something, when you're talking about the direction of the 3000 podcast, you can sort of read between the lines. You're saying, well, as long as and I'm sort of like, oh, hopefully things turn, and you had a guest once who said, oh, you know what, you need 1,000 episodes or something. I can't remember.
I was Jack the Bear. He said you've got to get to 400 episodes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I was thinking, fuck, that's a lot. That's a lot of just to set your foundations.
I know, but I think, and what he's muddling that off is people that do them online as well. So look, you've had to come all the way here from wherever you're from, which is not close. So to get people, I haven't, in the 130 something episodes, haven't done any online. I feel like if you did them online, I can bang out 3 in a day. It's like, it's not that hard, you know?
Yeah.
You can do it from your lounge room. You can do it from your bedroom. Yeah.
I did one recently, and we probably don't want to get too sidetracked on this, but I did one recently, as in 2023, 24. That's recent for me. And when I tried doing it, now I've got a decent laptop, but back then I was trying to do it on my computer and it didn't work. My computer's a dinosaur. And I just did it on my Samsung. And he goes, just do it on your phone, see how it goes. Came out really good. Like it came out, you know.
Cameras on your phone are better than a lot of cameras.
Yeah. Oh, this was just audio. It was camera. But I wasn't. I was just holding it like, okay. But the audio was good, as long as you don't start doing all that type stuff. You know,
scratching your beard.
Yeah,
There's a lot of things you could do that go wrong. The kids start making noise. There's heaps of things.
Yeah. Farting. Oh, that happens here anyway. Anyway.
Anyway, but no, man, it's really good that you are. People are asking you to do podcasts and stuff, and it makes you think, all right, we did make a difference, even on a global scale. Like, I guess every city had their version of a cave clan, but whether or not it predated what was going on here is a different scenario, you know?
I just don't think... there were, but they were in their little... Like, a lot of them were based around universities or colleges or whatever. I think Cave Clan... I say think. I'm pretty sure Cave Clan, just spread.
Yeah.
We went to different states and in different countries, and we had members in around the world. And whereas a lot of people were just interested in,
their immediate,
So,
when you said, look, I can't even remember if we touched on this last time, but when you did roll out to other states, did that feel like something you needed to do, or was that something that just happened whether you liked it or not?
Oh, it was a goal. It was a definite goal. When we did it all in like a few years, we just got all these interstate branches. A lot was, and it sounds a bit, I don't know what the word is, but it sounds like we were using people, but we weren't, because we definitely returned the favour. But it was like you wanted to get a Sydney branch set up. Fuck, you try finding drains in Sydney, it's all over the place with the harbour and all. It's really
totally different landscape.
Yeah, and even to this day, it's a city I hate. I'm going there in a couple of weeks to try and do half a dozen of the best drains that I've done before, but I'm doing my sort of John Farnham end of tour, end of career thing. Anyway, but I sort of dread it. Like, nothing's easy. Getting around's harder.
Isn't that the challenge, though?
Yeah, but I've done all that. Now I just want to get out. Now I just want to be.
Okay.
I just want to Uber to the open manhole and have someone open it for me. And
is that just because you're getting a bit older? All the things that you used to really enjoy doing just become a bit more of a chore?
It's because, so I'm shooting these videos, these walkthroughs I call them. I'm doing all my favourites, and that's why I'm going up to Sydney. But on Saturday I shot 3, and then next week I'm shooting 2 or 3. I'm here now. The 2 weekends after this weekend, which is the Cave Clan anniversary, I'm going to Sydney for 4 days. So, and I've got a wife and 2 kids, and so I want it to just go smoothly and quickly and get it. I don't want to have to go. I don't want to think, oh shit, I have to go back to Sydney because I didn't get it all done. I just want it all to go smoothly. And I've been exploring. Shout out to Green and Beans and Amoebics. We've been doing quite a bit of, and Rusco. We've been doing quite a bit of interstate exploring. They're the guys that are coming up to Sydney.
A lot of it is just become camaraderie, and the exploring's a bit of a second.
Oh, that's a big part of it. Yeah, if you when we went to Tassie recently, into Hobart only, we didn't go to the rest of Tassie, just to Hobart. We did. The main drain is so good, we did it 3 or 4 times. And
what makes it so good?
Well, it's made out of sandstone and different types of brick.
What's it called?
Hobart Rivulet or Hobart Darkie. Yep. And I can give you a link to it. It's pretty cool, and it's got lights. It's lit up.
Yep.
And it's a type. It'd be perfect for. Like they actually used to hold tours through it. I think because of insurance went through the roof, they had to stop doing it. So that's why it's got lights in it, and just doesn't. It takes you like, I don't know, 30 minutes to walk through it, and it just changes continuously. It's full of artwork all the way through now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a really good. It's the best. I say it's the best tunnel in Australia because I don't get to Hobart that often. I guess if I lived in Hobart and you did it all the time, yeah. So we've been doing. I forget what my point was.
I was just saying, is the camaraderie a big factor?
Yes. Sorry. Yes. So we did there's only like 3 drains in Hobart worth doing, and 2 of them are basically the same one. They're just a little gap between them. And we went to what's the gallery thing?
Mona.
Yeah, we went to Mona. We spent a day there, had a few drinks there.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good.
It's interesting how the biggest tourist attraction there is something that is like individually owned. It's not like but it is cool. I've only been there once.
Yeah, no, that was my first time. And a friend of mine, Rick, said you should go to Mona, and I'd sort of thought about it before, and I thought, oh yeah, I wasn't sure what the other guys would think, because it takes up a fair chunk of your time, and we were only there for like 3 days. But in between that, just drinking, like catching up, and so it is different. Definitely the camaraderie. You know what I'm trying to say?
Camaraderie?
Yeah, that one. But when we go to Sydney, I sort of organised a get together with any Sydney people that want to come and basically say goodbye, I guess, and say hello to us.
So you're saying this is your last sort of tour doing them?
I think of Sydney it will be.
Yep.
Only because like when we went up with those guys I was mentioning, Green Beans, and that, we went up to Brisbane. We had an awesome time. We just walked along. We did do a drain, and we just walked along Brisbane River. Went to a couple of these cool bars. Got to another drain, did that, and then and that was basically what we did in Adelaide, what we did in Hobart, and so it's quite, Whereas Sydney, I just find it a lot harder and expensive. Like you get an Airbnb and it's like twice as much as the other states, and it's just so hectic. I just find, and the drains are a lot harder to get into. Yep. You got to like either wade through flooded things, and
because it's all different heights.
Yeah, it's all over the shop, and
I would have thought that would have added an extra element of intrigue to it.
It does, but I'm 56, so
yeah.
the like Hobart. I don't know how people live in Hobart. I love Hobart. Like I love Tassie. I would have loved to have lived in Tasmania, but the Hobart city, the CBD. It's like everyone would be fit. No, there'd be no heart attacks here because, you're forever walking up and down hills.
Yeah.
But, Hobart's awesome.
There's no way for young kids to get around in Hobart. They've only got buses, and that's it, though. That's the thing that really sort of, I think, makes it hard for families and stuff in that area. There's no passenger trains or anything.
I'll tell you a little story because this is, this isn't the 7,000. Is it 7,000 Hobart pod?
5 or 7,000, one of them.
7,000, I reckon.
For another beer?
I'll tell you this story.
All right.
This will get me thirsty. No, it's just about we've had these like in Brisbane and Sydney. There's the scooters, the
Lime scooter.
Yeah, those ones. There was one in Brisbane. We got a photo of it and like, oh yeah, cool. And then one night we were out drinking. We met the person changing the batteries, and we had a chat to them. When we were in Tassie, we saw one of the scooters in the drain, in the actual tunnel, not the open canal. And we were walking from one pub to another. It was really late. We were pretty drunk. And I've got a bit of a loud voice. And I was just going, oh, yeah. Oh, the scooter, something about the scooter. And then suddenly this voice just goes to us, oh, do you mean Daisy? Like, and we look over and there's a guy with all the frigging batteries, changing the batteries. Like so. And he was keen for a chat. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. And we're like, Daisy? And he's like, oh, yeah, that's my scooter that's in the Rivulet Canal. He goes, I can't get it. I'm not allowed to go in because of health and safety. We said, it's not in the canal anymore. And I got my phone out and showed him a photo of it in this tunnel. He's like, oh, that's Daisy. Like he names them all. And, he wasn't allowed to get it. I was like, fuck, we could have dragged it out for you. Although by now it was covered in slime and shit. But they're popular in Hobart because of the hills and
everything.
Yeah. We were tempted to use them, but we sort of why we did the Hobart Rivulet so often. Every time we go to a pub, because the rivulet is obviously isn't going up a hill because it's in the valley. Yeah. So we walked through it and we sang a song. So
it would actually be a shortcut from pub to pub.
Yeah, well, it's a shortcut where our Airbnb was and where Hobart was. Yeah, you could sort of go and you'd only have to go up a couple of little hills once you go through the rivulet and then you cut across. Whereas if you just walk along the streets, you'd be doing a bit more of this.
Do you have to be mindful that you get out of the manhole about a block before so the security guards don't see you coming out right in front of the fucking pub?
In this case, it was like open sections at each end. So, no, we've planned expos based on there's a manhole, there's a pub, and we've got out, like 20 people have got out a manhole, walked across Alexandra Parade. I'm trying to think what the pub is in Fitzroy that we'd go to, have a couple of beers, and we'd all walk back out, jump back in the drain, try and encourage everyone to have a piss before they get back in the drain.
Surely you can take a piss in the drain.
You can, but when you got like 20 people and someone has a piss and go, that's a good idea, and suddenly you got like 20 people pissing in there. Guys, especially guys, guys do that thing where I remember once we were on we hired these 2 minibuses and we were going to like Geelong, Queenscliff, Geelong, Ballarat. And
good drains out Geelong way?
Yeah, Ballarat's got really good drains and Queenscliff's got like some nice army tunnels. So we hired these 2 minibuses and we'd actually supplied 2 minibuses, 12-seaters, and we supplied like 3 boxes of long neck VBs in each minibus. So you can imagine what it was like by the end of the day. Well, not even by the end of the day, by halfway through. And I remember I was sitting in the bus, I was in the passenger seat, and he pulled over on the side of the road, and I was like...
Is one of your guys driving, or are you...
Yeah, no, one of our guys.
Right, okay.
No. Wes, who he likes to drink, but he just had this health thing where he said, I'm not drinking for 2 months, and he likes a beer more than any of us, but he was designated driver on our bus. And I sort of looked at him, I said, what are you stopping for? And he just looks past me and he goes like that. And we're on a country road, farm road sort of thing. And I look out and there's like 20 guys lined up on the farm fence having a piss. I was like, fuck, that's a good idea. Jump out. And because it's just that whole thing, especially when you're stuck on a bus and you're drinking long necks. And that was a good day. That was a lot of fun. We got out of the bus, like the same thing again. We're all pissed by now. And we get out Ballarat and we pull up at where they've got the tramways and the Lake Wendouree, where the 1956 canoeing Olympics happened. And we jump off this minibus and we're all getting off Yahoo. I think we had a football and everyone got out and we started kicking fun. There's just this big Christian gathering and they're like, oh my Lord. And we've all got off, guys just running to trees and we're Yahooing, pissing ourselves laughing. It was like a bit of a clash of cultures. But that's how that whole trip was just, we used to, I think I've mentioned before, but most of the fun stuff happened when we were drinking.
But not everybody in the clan drinks, though, do they? Right? Like that was just something that you were the guys who explored and liked a beer as well. The people that didn't like a beer probably joined some other sort of group later on in the picture.
Well, there were a lot of people that I still know that, like in this day and age, are like talking about when they joined the clan. They're like, I never drank beer until I joined the Cave Clan. There's a lot of people that say that, and I kind of think, fuck, that's not the
so
best.
You feel somewhat responsible?
Yeah, somewhat. But no, Cave Clan had non-drink. Like I did a zine called I can't remember what it was called, Near Misses. And
so this is different to Il Drano.
Yeah, it's different to Il Drano. It's a Cave Clan magazine. Which is the this was more for general public,
right?
Although towards the end it wasn't. Like this issue, I put some stuff in it that was a bit dodgy. But I noticed in like I don't know, there's probably 40 stories in it, and it's all these stories where we get hurt, nearly get arrested, things like that. So it's called near misses. Mm-hmm. It's all the same people, and it's all the ones that drink.
The pushy envelope.
Yeah, like Prowler, for example. Prowler's like one of the most famous Cave Clan members. He's not in one article because he doesn't drink. Mm-hmm. So all the but in hindsight, you know, I've done, you know, like so much stuff because I drink when I explore. Now, to any young and upcoming urban explorers out there, do not drink alcohol and go exploring. It took us years to learn to safely to no.
That's good timing. We'll have a beer.
Yeah, we'll have a beer. Yeah. God, you're right about it being hot.
You all right?
Cheers. No, I'm fine. No. I'm all good. Thanks for that.
No worries. But yeah. Do you want to just move that one from there so it's not in the shot? Yeah, that's it. And just put that one on that. Can you put it on that side?
Yeah, just on the.
No, this.
Oh,
yeah. So it doesn't
yep.
focus on it.
Yep.
Yeah, but a lot of people like to do everything when they drink, so why not explore drains too?
Yeah, and we don't. I mean, Hobart, we were really drunk. There's a video online of us singing a song. We made up a song about the drain. But the guy, one of the guys who's singing is like, you cannot put that on the fucking internet. I said, can we put the audio? So it's like the soundtrack to the video I made. It's got us singing this song. But we were blind drunk that night. We were like we just walked out of a pub carrying pints, and we were walking through this drain, drinking pints, which isn't a normal thing to do.
Yep.
And by the end of it, we were so, yeah. Anyway,
you did touch on the fact that some people almost get arrested. Is that an actual thing? Like, can you get busted in drains? You can definitely get busted in, like, abandoned warehouses, or you call it
Topside. Yeah, bandos, people. But the term is bandos.
Now it is, yeah? Or it always was?
No, I mean in the greater urban exploration.
Is there any near misses or any times people have got busted in any stuff like that you can remember?
There's off the top of my head 5 different types of urbex. There's more, but for the sake of this story, like there's drain exploring, there's infiltration, which is probably the dodgiest one, where you're going into the city loop or car tunnels, service tunnels, telecommunication tunnels.
There's more cameras in that sort of thing.
And sensors and all that sort of thing. There's roof topping, which can be a bit dodgy, getting on city. I've never really got into that. I've done roof topping, but only when it's on top of an abandoned building, not active.
People do some crazy stuff, walk along ledges and all sorts of things.
Yeah, I'm just not sort of into that. And then there's abandoned buildings, and I can't remember what the 5th one was going to be. But I find that the infiltration is technically drains aren't abandoned, so you're sort of infiltrating a drain.
Is it public property, technically?
This is the way it was explained to me. It is a bylaw. It's not a criminal law. It's not like it's a Melbourne water bylaw, and it's like trespass. So the signs used to say back in the 80s, if you're caught in this drain, you will get 20 something or other points. They didn't say, and that each point, you go online.
Like a demerit point on your licence.
But it was a point that each point might be worth $5.80, and it's so they could change it with inflation. Mm-hmm. So instead of saying originally the old ones would say this is a $20 fine, and you're like, oh, who cares? Yep. So then they just changed
those signs.
No, I don't. I wasn't really into. Note from All City, he likes his signs. I'd say get him on here just for his sign collection, but there's no way he'd do a podcast.
Is that Nodo?
Yeah, no, he wouldn't do it. No. He'd like he'll want to assault me now for mentioning his name.
Do you want me to chop it out?
No, I want to mention him.
Okay.
I want to say bad things about him, but no, I know him fairly well. So they
would say how much the fine was.
Yeah,
but by saying points, they could fuck with the increments.
So it'll say 20 demerit points, for, and then you go online, or back in the day you'd have to go into Melbourne Water or go somewhere, and it would say each demerit point is $1.80, and then they just change it with inflation. They don't do that anymore that I've seen.
But to be honest, it's just there for public safety, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you go down there, unless you're stupidly pissed, you're going to do it in the safest way possible.
Yeah.
But it's there for public safety. It's not there because it's illegal. They don't want people exploring.
Yeah. It'll be a bit of both. Oh, they don't want people going in there because it's dangerous, especially people who don't know. The point I was sort of heading towards was, so it's a bylaw. So if the police, I've never heard of anyone being fined for being in a drain. The police normally don't give a shit. But the ones that are more dangerous or more risky, like the infiltration, people don't drink. I would never drink doing something like that. You're much more careful. Yep. If you hear a leaf drop, you're like, fuck, what's. Whereas
because you're actually breaking the law there.
Yeah, yeah. And with the drains, you're letting fireworks off, you're playing music, you're drinking. And once again, you're only doing that in certain drains. I mean, people will be listening to this going, God, this guy's a dickhead. But it's not like, it's drains we know really well, and they're all flat bottom. Like when I talked about taking you in a drain, I was like, I'd take you in one where you're not going to be climbing up waterfalls and going down slides and, bending and crawling, and it's just going to be a casual walk through a drain. That's the one. So we choose the ones that we have a good time in.
Is there drains around Melbourne or the country where people actually live in them? Like there's camps in them where like homeless people that have made it their squat?
Not really. There might be something like outside a drain under a bridge or something, but because they flood, so when they flood in a summer storm or even when it rains for 5 days almost non-stop in winter, it's not you're not gonna. But there are people that have slept in drains, and when they're like some of our places we've had set up where we have like a couch or something in there. You can tell when you go in, you'll see the pillow has been moved, or someone's got something out of a plastic bag that we had there, and you can just tell people have been staying there, or there's food containers and shit like that. But abandoned buildings they do.
Yep.
Abandoned buildings there's homeless people in, and I imagine I don't do much abandoned building stuff nowadays, but I imagine it'd be with the way rent is and all that.
People occupying them a bit, yeah.
I would think it makes sense. I've heard generally, and this is like on a worldwide scale, I've heard that a lot more people are coming across, and they're normally quite, well, in America anyway, they're quite defensive,
Well, it's someone's house, really. And
they're living there.
They're living there, so you're turning up unannounced. They're going to defend themselves.
So I'm not really that interested in that. So I don't know. I'm not up to date with that.
With the drains, is there obviously there's been close calls and stuff with flash floods, but has anyone that you're aware of ever died down there? Anything really like fatal happened?
Not in the Cave Clan. There's definitely been a few deaths. There was the two graffitiists in Sydney. Jesus, I should remember names. I should point out, I know you know this, but I'm going to repeat it. I've had a migraine and my memories I've been sort of feel like I've been kicked in the head.
And it's also about 35 degrees in here, which I apologise for.
That's all right. That's the sweat. Their names will come to me in a minute because I say them as a couple. But there was two that drowned in a drain called Fortress in Sydney. Flaps and Banish. So a lot of people would know them. They're really well known.
And it was just a flash sort of freak flood, or it was a time they probably shouldn't have been in there?
Apparently, I don't know if it was a freak flash flood, but there was a third guy, I can't remember his name, but he took them up there. He was the more experienced one. He got washed out. Some surfer dude was looking out of his balcony, saw him in the water out at sea. Wow. Jumped on his surfboard. Talk about fucking hero. Went out and rescued him. And this guy, he used to run he's really well known. He ran like a spray paint shop in Sydney in Newtown. Like everyone will know him. And yeah, it must have been fucking hard for him. I couldn't imagine how tough it would have been for him to. The one that I'm most experienced with, and I have told this story before, but not to you, I don't think. But was I was coming home from work, and this is like 25 years ago. I was coming home from work, and a mate was giving me a lift home, and it was pissing down, and it was just before Christmas. I think we just had breakup, and we drove across Mary Creek in Northcote, and I was like, shit, I hate to be in the drain today. As soon as I got home, there's like messages on my answering machine back in days when we had answering machines, and like
it's late 90s.
Yeah, I reckon 2000. Mm-hmm. I reckon 2000.
25 years ago.
Yeah. These messages are like, some kids got washed through North Golf Course, which is our local drain. It was like the Cave Clan headquarters. I was like, fuck. I've always been dreading, and I still dread this happening to this day. Anyway, he's missing. It's 2 days before Christmas. His mate survived, climbed out.
How old were they?
They were 14, 15.
Okay.
And so just to backtrack a bit, one day I was sitting at home and I get this phone call, and I'm obviously a kid. This is on the home phone. And he goes, oh, hi, my name's Brian. I want to join the Cave Clan. I'm like, I've never had that. And what it was, which we had this sort of the arch enemy of the Cave Clan was this guy called Fallon, who used to put stickers all over Melbourne. He was a dickhead.
But he was a member, wasn't he? And then you kicked him out?
He was a member, yeah.
I remember you telling me last time.
Yes, yeah. So Fallon, after we kicked him out, Fallon made up stickers, and it was like, if you want to know more information about the Cave Clan,
gave your phone number.
Call Dougo, and But what he'd done was he'd actually screwed the phone number up, and so I'm guessing people were trying to ring it, but it was going through the wrong person. But Brian, this kid, he lived in the same suburb as me, so when he'd written down a number off the sticker, he'd written it because it used to be area code 9484, and I think Fallon had done it 848 or something. But anyway, whatever it was, but Brian had written it down wrong, but he'd written it down correctly. Yeah. Okay. So, and I was like, oh, you're too young, mate. You're too young. You have to wait till you're 18. And he was like really polite and friendly. And so he's the kid that ended up missing. So it gets worse. Well, he dies. That's the worst bit. But so he's been missing for a couple of days, and the police, it's on the news, the police is waiting through had to wait for the storm to clear up. I was living with Gilligan at the time in Main Street in Northcote, which was like a Cave Clan halfway house for like 10 years. And I get this phone call, and it's like a lady's voice, and she's like, is that Dougo? She had a Scottish accent. And I was like, no, no one rings up and calls me Dougo.
Right.
And it turns out it was Brian's mother. And she was like, asking if I could go up the drain, and that maybe he's climbed up somewhere, and
so he's even told his mum about Cave Clan, or that she's seen in the
or he's seen it in his diary or whatever where he's written it down. Maybe she used to. He used to. Well, I spoke to her a little bit. That she goes, I shouldn't have let him go down, and I didn't know. I was like, I went and knocked on Gilligan's door with my foot. He was and I'm like, and he's like, and I'm like, and I'm going, oh, okay, and then she's just going, oh, and I was just like, fuck, it was so shit, and then so. And I was like, and I knew what had happened, and there was nowhere to hide. Like, he was gone.
That drain is unforgiving.
Well, there was no, where they were, there was just nowhere. From there, it was just like a short distance, 300 metres through a pipe and then out into the creek that goes through Northcote Golf Course. But they found him like on Christmas Eve, and I was on I was on the bus. So his friend's name was, I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Ben Lindsay. It's in the media. And I got on a bus, and I knew the kid's face because he'd been on all the news and the newspapers, and because I collect all that stuff, scrapbook it all. I'm sitting on the bus, and I see this Ben Lindsay get on probably 3 weeks later, and I go up to him and say, "Are you Ben?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, I'm Dougo." And I started talking to him, but I had to get off the bus. And he showed me his hands. He was all like grazes all
So
down.
he made it out, but his friend didn't.
Yeah, so what had happened, what he told me, was there's a manhole with a bar across it. And what they used to do, which is, they're 14 years old, we could see graffiti where they'd written flood levels on different dates. The water got up to here, the water got up to here. So they got a bit complacent, I think. I think they were down, and there's a spot that's a little bit higher, and they had a couch there. A little bit higher, I mean 30 centimetres higher. The concrete is higher than where the water is. So they were sitting in there when it was raining, and then they go and mark the level it got up to. But this was a summer storm, totally different thing.
Because rain just comes quicker and faster?
Yeah, so if it rains in winter, you climb up a ladder. I'm not saying do this, but if you climbed up a ladder, you'd probably wait half an hour and then it'd go back down. Most likely. Yeah. More likely in winter.
Still a long time to wait up a fucking ladder.
Yeah, but you can avoid it. Whereas in a summer storm, like you see bars, I did a video recently, you see pipes going across the drain, which are like water pipes or gas pipes or whatever pipes, and they're like a little gap between the roof, and there's like tennis balls squashed in them. Because when the tunnel floods, they get jammed in, plastic bottles and all that sort of shit. You're dead, basically. And so the water kept getting higher and higher, and then they were like, "Oh shit, we're in trouble." And the last thing they could do was hang on to this metal bar that went across the manhole, and they were hanging. And Ben, the kid I'm talking to on the bus, said, "Bob let go and just got washed." He saw him get washed through the tunnel. He managed to hold on for a few more minutes, and because it was a summer storm, it was ferocious and it was high. But it also, once it stopped, it went down. Eventually he dropped, he let go and he got washed through, but it had just gone down a little bit, and it wasn't there wasn't as much force. So he got out and he managed to climb up the creek bank. He managed to be, it just throws you out. From what I've heard in other stories, you've got no control over where you go, and he just luckily got thrown against the bank and climbed out.
So is there a safe way to do it? Even in summer, you could have a freak. Like, you check the weather before you ever go down.
Yeah. Look, there's a drain called Dungeon. That's probably one that, like when you check the radar, which you should always check the radar, and the report. You should always check the report. Sometimes you'll see where it says rains forecast, but you look at the radar and there's nothing. But I've been in Dungeon, which is down south, down Moorabbin way, and I've been there on days where it's sunny, and then the storm sort of form over Bass Strait or whatever, and it's not like where you can see the storm coming from Adelaide. Oh, yeah, it's going to be bad, or coming from up Mildura way, working its way down. They form just out in the water, and I've been caught where I was on a push bike, and I was like, it's a bit hard to explain, but basically I could tell something was weird. I was standing below a big grill, like nearly probably half the size of this room we're in, and I was looking at the ground. I was like, well, someone painted the ground. It looks black, but it was rain, and I was like, oh shit. I was on my push bike, but I was like a couple of kilometres up, and so I headed out, and as I headed out, there's heaps of these little side pipes, and all this water started shooting out. It was shooting right across the tunnel. It was like a video game. I was like ducking under, and the ones that were low,
You're experienced at this point.
Oh yeah.
But you're in there by yourself.
Yes, I was in there by myself.
Is that a no-no? Unless you're fucking Dougo?
Lots of people do it by themselves. You just got to be really careful. I mean, this is like, one out of 5,000 times that this has happened to me. But I made out, but it was just like all the way out. I got out but when I went in, it was sunny. And it wasn't even a matter of it raining kilometres, which you've got to be careful of, the really long tunnels. You know, it could be raining in the upper catchment of that tunnel and not where you are. Like this was like it was sunny, and then I rode up for 5 minutes and it was raining. Like it was just a freak storm that... So, yeah, they do happen, and I don't know. I don't... Like, people are always saying to me, you should make a video explaining to people what to do, but then I start thinking about liability and all that sort of shit.
Well, yeah, but if anyone knows how to get out of those situations, it's someone who has a lot of experience like yourself. So you can look at it two ways. You can show people what to do in an emergency, or you can hope they just know what to do. You know, like it wouldn't be how to do it. It's like, if worst case scenario...
This is what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
That's how I'm... Because I'm sort of halfway through... You know, I've got a folder of stuff that, you know, that I...
But do you know what? It could be used because sometimes people want to explore and end up in spots that they didn't realise, and then they panic. So if you do end up exploring and you get yourself into the shit, how to find your way out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like knowing the drain, like the one... The most famous one is because we've got it on video, was Bob and Pablo, who were originally in a group called the Guinea Pigs and joined the Cave Clan.
Does everyone have to be named after an animal, or that's just the toads, the guinea pigs?
Yeah, well, cave, isn't there a cavey...
It is like a guinea pig, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you might be onto something there. I don't know about the drain dwellers, but they might...
Could be any kind of creature dwelling in a drain.
Yeah, true. And although they didn't last. What was I saying? Yeah, so this other one, so we were in a tunnel that had like multiple waterfalls, and it started raining. We kind of knew it was going to rain, but we thought we'll go up and film and get out. We'll be out in time. And we were right, but we weren't. And this one has like 10 little waterfalls upstream, and then 2 big ones downstream. So we're in between. We're at this gigantic waterfall, and we're like, shit. And every time it went over, the water was coming from kilometres away, but every time it went over a drop, it gets louder. So at the start of the video, we're like, there's no sound. You can hear this water trickling like piss, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. And then... Your
ear's in tune to this, though. You know what to listen for. Or every drain's different.
Well, if you're in a drain and you just start hearing noise in the tunnel getting louder, it's not a good sign.
Right. You look for your exit strategy then.
Yeah, so we thought, what's that? But when you hear the first one, it could be just like someone washing the car in the street. When the water trickles in, it just sounds really loud because it echoes.
And it's amplified because you're in a...
Yeah, so you don't panic straight away. But this was like... And each time it dropped over, it got louder and louder and louder. And I was like, shit, we need to get out. But we didn't know how big the wave was that was coming. And we didn't want to be on the way to the next waterfall and get washed over a waterfall.
Right.
So there was 3 of us, and there was a manhole where we were, and I was the biggest. And it's a few years ago, so I was sort of fit and, you know. And so I climbed up, and I just remember I was like using my shoulders it was a big square gaddock, so the worst thing with that is they're normally in a road. And I was like using my shoulders, and I'm pushing and pushing.
You don't need a tool. You can just literally push it up with force.
No, you should have a tool.
Right.
Like normally, at least to crack the seal.
Right.
Like you just bash it with a mallet or something.
Right, but you didn't have one of these.
Didn't have anything with me, no.
So that's probably mistake 1. You should have something to help you get out, isn't it?
Yeah, although most of the tools are to get in, not really to get out. I mean, I could have used it to crack the seal a bit. The hardest thing was I was like using my shoulders. I was standing on a ladder, and I was facing down, but down below me with the other 2 guys, and their faces were just like pleading, you know, like, because I'm quite high up, I'm up under the road, then the next guy's another 6 foot lower, and then the last guy's right in the, you know, and if it had got too bad, we could have all climbed up the ladder and all squashed and hung on. Mm-hmm. But who, you know, at the time you're not thinking, maybe it'll, you know, you're just thinking, got to get the fuck out. Anyway, I was pushing, and then it lifted, and all the daylight poured in, and I went like, and it was like the end of my energy. Like I was trying, I was
Because
exhausted.
that'd be heavy. That'd weigh, what, 30, 40 kilos or something like those things?
Maybe even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're heavy as fuck. And then, like the next day, all my chest was strained and my back was strained. But when I got it up, and if I let it fall back in, there's no way I'd get it off again. Like this was like your last, and I pushed it up, and as it come up, my head going up, and I just see this car coming towards me. Obviously, it didn't hit me. Well, that might explain my head. But it's just this Mercedes. Luckily, we were at a stop sign, and the car was slowing down. And
the car would have been like, what the fuck?
I know. Out of all, when they say always be alert, don't look at your phone, don't do this, don't. This is what
Dougo
a classic.
might come out of the road.
We might come out of the road. Anyway, I push it off, and we're wearing white, or they're wearing white overalls because we were shooting a video, and that's not on film. The film after they get out, I pull the camera out, and you just see them going fuck, fuck, fuck. I'll probably put a link to the video.
Yeah, put all the links, yeah.
Yeah. And they get out, and they're just like, holy shit. But then then I filmed down in the drain, and it was only. It might have knocked you off your feet. We could have just hung on the ladder and waited it. But, you don't... You get out if you can.
When you force it up, so you're forcing it up with your shoulders and your head, then what, you use your hands to throw it out, or you push it up and back, or how does it...
Well, because you're standing on a ladder, each step up... So as it starts to go up, each step up you go, you get more... You can push off the steps, so...
And then it leverages.
Yeah, and then it just flops back, or...
Did you put the cover back on?
Yeah. You always put the cover back on.
Okay.
Especially when it's in a road.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But it's like that's a big no-no, like leaving them out. Occasionally, if it's in a safe spot, in a park, under a tree or something, you might leave it off a bit if you're coming back out soon or something. But if it's not... you'd only do that if it's like for example, the one where that kid drowned at North Golf Course, there was a manhole there that used to be really easy to get off, but Melbourne Water, just before he died, they bolted bars across
That's
it.
the bar that he couldn't get through.
No, so that was just a normal manhole. The round manhole thing that had the bars on it was just you couldn't get that off. I don't even know what the point of the bars was. But the one that they could have got off, I actually wrote a message there saying, Melbourne Water bolted this shut, whenever I contacted Melbourne Water, I'd always say this thing like, you can't block manholes off, because what happens if it is a dumb kid, or if it is a worker that gets caught out?
I've got my basketball out of drains before, not exploring them, just like I need to go get my ball.
Yeah, so it could be anything. It could, but it's not always going to be organised explorers. Like you got to leave them off, and you can't block them. And this is a classic example. I'm not saying they would have got, because they would have had to get across some water, but that when it started getting deeper and they started getting up into them, and they got on top of the couch, and then the couch washed away. Before they did that, they might have been able, if they knew that manhole was that manhole's always like, and it's real. It's only like when you talk about the weight, it's only like 20 kilos, and
So but we did jump around a bit. But that kid that you spoke to on the bus, whose friend died, Ben, did he was like, he knew who you were, he knew that sort of thing, because the kid who died talked about wanting to join the cave clan.
So Brian, the kid that died, who called himself Bob, which led to confusion later on because we have a Bob in the cave clan, so people thought Bob had died. He'd they'd made. Oh, I say they, but Brian had made his own cave clan T-shirt. Like I was mentioning Ashley Gilbertson before, a photographer in the cave clan who's now gone on to bigger and better things.
We'll talk about him for sure. Yep.
He did an article I can't remember the magazine, back when magazines were popular, and he got some photos from the parents, and one, he's wearing a cave clan T-shirt. It's not one of ours. It's just
So he literally was fanboying the cave clan. Really wanted to join. Just too young. You had an 18 and over policy.
Yes, and Ben, I presume, there was the two of them, so I presume Ben was in the same sort of thing. Ben said, which is a bit funny, not a bit of a punchline, but it's not really a story to have punchlines. But when I went to get off the bus, the back door, Ben said to me, "Are you really Dougo?" And I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, I thought you'd be taller."
How tall does he want you to
I
be?
know. I was thinking, fuck.
Because they've heard about this Dougo who's
Yeah,
7 foot
yeah,
tall.
whatever. Yeah, some like, you know, I don't know, but that's what he thought. But yeah, like there's.
And what magazine did Ashley have the article in?
That's what I was saying. I can't remember it. I've got it at home.
Like it was like a mainstream thing.
Oh
or it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
So
Juice magazine, which used to be a big magazine. It was a music sort of had, you know, just all that sort of
street
stuff.
press sort of thing, or was it?
No, it was a glossy.
Yeah.
You buy it at newsagents. I'm pretty sure it was just called Juice, but it like when that heaps of those magazines died when the internet came about.
Yep.
Juice was really popular and would have all, you know, like latest music. It was mainstream.
Yep.
It wasn't like Beat magazine or, you know, those street magazines. I can't remember if I was going somewhere with that part of it, but yeah, but he did like it's just sad. Then one day, so his father's name was Brian as well, so he was Brian Jr., the kid that died. And I looked him up one day. I was doing a tribute to all the explorers and that had passed away, and you know, I googled his name and I thought, here's something about him I don't have, but it was his father who died like a year or two later.
Oh, that's
and so yeah, I just really feel for the mother. And then there was other things that happened. Like, for example, we did it like a year after he died. We did an expo to the drain that he died in, and we thought we'll go do a tribute. We did a memorial for him, put a bit of effort into it. Eventually, Graffiti has just pieced over it, which is a bit shit. But anyway, on this day, we got in the tunnel miles up, and we came through from a manhole to where he died, which is like a gathering spot anyway. And I was up on top with a friend setting up a barbecue. There was a barbecue up there, and we were going to cook up some food and then take it up to it was called the Pillars, where he died. But as they were coming through, a couple of Cave Clan people were sort of, one guy called Myth, he likes doing screechy noises and that, and he was doing all noises, and yeah, when he got to the Pillars, all the family was there.
Oh.
And they were just
underground.
Yeah, they'd gone up the tunnel, and there was graffiti saying, "I finally got up here, Bob. Love, Mum." You know, like it was all really emotional.
What year was this? This was 2000.
2001. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
That's super sad.
Yeah, it was really sad. And then, yeah. So
I guess the lesson, the moral, if we can take anything from it, is if you are going to go into the drains, make sure you do it in the most responsible way you can.
yeah,
That's the only thing we can take out of a really shit situation.
becoming complacent is a. I mean, I say this and it sounds harsh, but fuck, you know, you're a long time dead. You know, like, don't, you know, and you know, it's been proven that teenagers don't have that ability. Like there's kids that have survived attempted suicide, and when they've talked to them later, they're like, some of them don't even think about, I didn't realise, I didn't even think that I'd be gone forever. I just wanted to piss mum off or dad off. Mm. You know, that teenagers, their brain hasn't developed to that thing where they think the reaction to what I'm about to do is forever. Mm. And it's the same with why, you know, I think anyway, why a lot of teenagers do fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
I met a guy recently. We went and did Dungeon, that drain I was talking about, that's a bit of a flood risk, and he's a plumber now. He was talking to me about like how badly they'd hooked this pipe up to the drain. He's like, "Oh, that's shit, it's going to leak, there's going to be erosion and all that." Like, he's a plumber now, and he's, you know, he does all these videos on Instagram. He gets up on roofs, and he's a roofer plumber. And I remember when I first heard of him, they went into this flooded drain called it's called Clantoon, but it was flooding. And they got a rope and they hung it in, and they were surfing in the flood, which went straight into Moonee Ponds Creek, which is a raging torrent, big concrete, fast-moving flood, you know, canal. But he was a teenager, and they were all teenagers just doing that shit, whereas now he's, you know, like he'd never do it now.
No.
But it's just that teenager thing where you don't think, you know, what's exciting. Excitement outweighs your logic when it comes to safety.
I think, yeah, the human brain doesn't fully develop like that until you're in your late 20s. Like, actually, like, it's a fact.
Especially for males.
Yeah, males are even worse than
Yeah,
females.
yeah, and some of us longer. Like, I didn't realise, I thought, oh shit, I don't know, say I was 28, 29, 30, and we climbed up we're in Chinatown in Melbourne, and we were getting up onto the roof of this building. On top of, there was a car park, and then you get up on the roof and there was a building on top of the car park. And the ladder was like right against the wall, quite often they're angled like that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why do I feel so nervous? And I was climbing up, and there was a rest platform halfway up. And it's just when climbing right against the wall just seems creepier than when you got your arms out, you know. Stop. And I got up to the top, and I was like, oh, you guys go, you guys. And I ended up not going. And I was like, fuck, suddenly I'm scared of heights. But I don't think I was suddenly scared of heights. I just, like you were saying, my brain had developed to where it goes, hey, you're doing something dodgy. You're doing something that could hurt me, you know. And it was starting to say, and obviously people have different levels of it. But now, like, I did a video like a month ago where I had to climb probably twice as high as this building, safe as, and I was so nervous. I started getting this feeling in my stomach, and I was like, yeah, like as you get older, and I know males or people, when you start to get that, your balancing starts to play up as you get older.
Yeah, but the reality sets in that, okay, I can wrong foot this, fall, hit my head, and fucking die, and that stuff, you know, that comes with age, and when you've got a family and when you've got people rely on you, all of a sudden it's not your stupid behaviour that's going to just affect you; it's your stupid behaviour that might affect others.
Yeah, and I'm I may have mentioned last time that my younger daughter has autism and an intellectual disability, and she takes up a lot of my time, and like I'd hate to do something stupid. I mean, obviously we all go eventually, but I'd hate to do something stupid where I'm not there to help my wife and help my younger daughter and my older daughter with it. So I'm much more conscientious, about.
But I think I was having a chat with a friend of mine the other day on the show, and she's a makeup artist. We're just laughing about when we were younger, we used to get, stupidly drunk, and you couldn't remember how you got home, and you'd pass out here or whatever, and that was all a laugh. You get to a certain age where you're like, oh, that doesn't become a laugh. Something clicks and you go, fuck, that was a bad time. And I think that's probably about your late 20s when you start to go, falling asleep in the street's a bad idea.
Definitely. And I've got so much of it on video that I look back and go, fuck, what a cockhead. But I had a lot of fun. But I not that I want to go too far into this, but I think the same. I think I can't believe we haven't been seriously hurt or worse. But also, I'm thinking of Chopper. When Chopper Read used to tell a story, he'd say, don't let the truth get in the way of a good yarn, so that he had that to fall back on. Oh, no, I wasn't telling the truth, so I'm sort of going down that path. But there's so much dodgy shit that I did. I can't believe I didn't end up getting charged or in jail or anything. But don't let the truth get in the way of a good yarn.
There you go.
But like, when I think back about it all, like when I've been talking about doing the podcast with the older guys and telling stories, about the old days, and we're kind of all like, oh, but how far, it's been long enough. We could tell dodgier stories, but then you don't want your family hearing them and all that. So, but you wouldn't get arrested because it's like 30 or so years, and it's not, when we say dodgy, it's not.
Yeah. That's what happens with a lot of the graffiti guys I talk to. They're like, look, I could tell you other stories, but I've got kids now, or I've got parents that I don't want, or, I don't want my employer to hear this sort of stuff. But, the platform's there for people to tell whatever they want to tell.
I have to think about that too. Like now, since I spoke to you last, I think last time I spoke to you, I was working with supported workers, just taking people around, Telstra exchanges and that. I did that for like 9 years. Well, I've changed now, and I have to be more careful about the... the first thing is once my work finds out, then I have to sort of see what they want me to do, or, what... I'm sort of just letting it go, but I'm a lot more careful. I try not to put my face on... Because a lot of people see it, like on YouTube, they see the title, They go, fuck, that's Dougo. You know, like, so I don't put my face on things like that, and I'm removing it from a lot of the video. So when things pop up in a search or whatever.
Yeah. I saw a dude the other day. I just got taken by his video. He was fishing in a...
Oh, yeah.
Did you see? Have
I've
you
seen
seen
him,
that?
yeah.
I don't know. It popped up, and it must have been because it's linked to the algorithm of drains or whatever. And I'm like, oh, wow, he was actually catching fish. I can't remember where it was.
He was in, well, he's done 3 that I know of. He I think he's got a few views from it, so he's jumped on it.
Yep.
He's like, oh, I was going to comment on his video, and I thought, oh, what's the point? I just sound like someone, you know, you get online, those people that are like, and I was going to correct him, but in a nice way, but it doesn't come across that. So he was like, I caught this giant fish in the hidden underground network of Melbourne's drains. But all it was he was just in this, it was just this big pipe.
He might have been going for clickbait, though.
Yeah, he was. He was. Yeah, he was just in this big pipe, and it was actually Moonee Ponds Creek. It wasn't a part of the storm.
Would you eat a fish from there?
Well, that was a giant carp. So
you wouldn't eat it anyway.
I would, yeah, but I wouldn't eat a fish from there. And he's done a couple more. I haven't watched them because, like, they're like 30 minutes, and they're really aimed at people who are into fishing. And both of the ones that I sort of flicked through to see if I knew the drain, it was just more or less swampland near a drain or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I didn't look at the third one. The third one, he's holding the fish up. I just popped up today, and it's blurred. He's blurred the fish out, so you got to watch the video to see the fish. Well, I don't give a shit about the fish.
Show me the drains. I don't care about the fish.
Yeah. I want the drains.
I want the drain action.
Yeah. I actually thought, oh, I'll take him somewhere where he could. And I thought, I don't think there is anywhere. Like Geelong's got one that's flooded outside that would have fish, but it's not. It's just flooded. It's just the river goes into, like it's not. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, no, I saw him. I can't remember his name, but he's a bit of grungy, a bit sort of, like he's got a few tats and yeah, like your mate.
He popped up, and I watched it for a bit, but again, it's about the fishing, and I was more interested in the creatures or the, you know what I mean, the interesting part of it, which it sort of didn't have.
Yeah.
It was more the fishing stuff.
So I've been doing the drain walks since I think I've been doing them for a couple of years now. Like my goal was to go back and redo all the drains that I enjoyed. I'm still doing that. I've been doing it probably started roughly when you started.
Yep.
When did you start?
When you came on was June 2023, and you did a drain on the way there, I think.
Yeah, because that's what I normally do. Yeah, and normally when I'm going to do something.
Is there drains out this way? Anything interesting?
There is, but the two that because I actually had a look at that.
I thought you would have.
But the two that there's one at Mentone and one at Frankston, but both of them I wouldn't do on my own. Not because of, but just filming it. I'd want to have someone with me.
We'll get Woodsy in there with us. Is that not novice for me to go into?
Yeah, no, they're a bit more. Yeah, try manholes and I know I haven't got my filming equipment, but no. If you guys ever do that, I've got a couple of fine places that.
I sent you a photo from down here near my place, near where my kid goes to kinder. They've got like the drain fucking. I call them like skate stoppers, but they're like to stop you from getting in the drain. Remember I sent you that photo? It was a while ago? Yeah. They're like bars to stop people from getting in, which looks like it's almost more dangerous than not having them.
Yeah, some of those things that they do, it's weird because Melbourne Water generally don't put anything across the outlet because it just causes it to flood and block up.
Yeah.
But down here, I think it's a different...
Southeast water.
Yeah, something like that. And I think they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more bars down here.
Heaps of bars, yeah.
Yeah. But not the good kind of bar either.
We've run out of beers too.
I've got to drive after this anyway. But yeah, I brought some sticker zines along.
Yeah.
Some stickers. I've obviously done a shitload of zines, but
how many zines do you reckon you've done in your? You've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah. I've sort of stopped now. I'll still do some black and white ones, but I've stopped doing the glossy colours. So I always forget to tell this part of the zine story.
So now's the time.
This is to thank a person.
Right.
So it's in the middle of it. But so I used to make the zines, and most of them are black and white. If I could afford it, I'd do a colour cover. And Wes, who's an old school caveman guy, he kept saying to me, "Oh, Flirt, he works at a printer's. You should get him to do some for you." And I didn't really know Flirt. I just see him at the pub sometimes.
He was a Cave Clan member.
At this stage, I always thought he was an All City member, but he wasn't. I don't know what crew he was in.
Right.
But he was a graffitiist, and he'd be at those pub gatherings we'd have where there'd be a lot of. And I was like, no, I've never been big at asking people to, help with that. And then finally one day I got where I was in a room with him, and I just said, Wes says that you can do some photocopying for me. He goes, yeah, fuck it, yeah, I hate the place I work at. Fuck it, I'll do whatever you want. He had that sort of attitude. And he started doing... Suddenly, the zines became like glossy magazines, as Woody described it.
Which takes away from the grittiness of it.
It
but
does,
it's cool.
but it is pretty cool. And
it opens up your creative avenues a bit more when you can print in colour.
Yeah, and it just looks better. I was using shitty black and white photocopy, and you couldn't see the pictures. And anyway, we used to take it in. I'd just take it to his work in an envelope, give it to him, and he'd print it for me. And it was always like a bit crooked. And I was like, damn it, I would have, because I'm a bit anal when it comes to. But he
gives it its authenticity.
Yeah. But it was more him just putting it through. I mean, you work at the... No, I'm only joking, Flirt. I am only joking. He did a good job. And then he went and worked at Kinko's, which are they still around?
No, but they had one on Russell Street, I remember, for a while.
Russell, yeah, that's the one that I used to go to.
Yeah.
So what he did... I've got to make sure I don't remember... I've got to make sure I don't mention his real name. He got me a gold card that the staff had.
Oh, nice.
And I used to go into Kinko's in Russell Street, and I'd go in at like 1 in, because they were 24 hours, and I'd go in at 1 in the morning when no one's there. There'd be like one staff member, and I'd walk up to the machine where you put cash on it and just pretend to be putting cash on it, and then I'd go up and I'd get the 3 colour copiers going, and I'd even go on the internet, like I had the internet there. I'd go on, I think it was Hotmail, go and chat to people. Then I'd go back, pretend to put more money on it. And he laughs, the Flirt laughs about it. He's like, I reckon, he goes, you must have spent thousands of dollars on colour printing. Yeah, that was for a few years. Then I stopped doing the zine for a while. I had a break. But the guy in the Cave Clan who started doing TED, the Explorer's Digest, which is a replacement for El Drono for a couple of years, and then he'd just meet me and I'd go, we'd use it and do...
So they've got to work out that card.
It did, and I was doing my other zines. Like I used to do a zine called Get Fuck Pull My Dick.
Great name.
And
what was that about?
It was just, I guess me just whinging about things that used to shit me. Like it was a bit political in parts, and then stupid stuff like us going to pubs, and so I had a lot of guys vomiting type stuff. Crime. It had a lot of. Also, I had this book that was like all brutal crime scenes. This guy died in America, and they found these books that he had from when he was a cop, all from murder scenes and that.
Homicides and stuff.
Yeah, but old school. And I'd have a page of them each issue. So it was a bit graphic. And then I just had friends that would give me crime stuff like that. The Father's Day biking massacre or whatever it's called. Not Father's Day, in Sydney. I got all these photos from them, all the bikies dead, like morgue shots, and so it was all just weird stuff like that. The name comes from, there's a Blue Murder mini-series called Blue Murder about police corruption in America and New South Wales in the 80s, and it was banned because it was going through the courts and all that. It was banned so you could get it down here, and there's a line in it where they're trying to talk the guy into something. He says, "Pull me dick, mate, get fucked." And so, but back in those days, there was magazines like FHM for him mainly, so it was based on those sort of magazines. And but get fucked, mate, pull me dick didn't look as good as get fucked, pull me dick, mate. so it's GFPMD. And there was one issue we did a religious one where we just got all these religious flyers and that. And instead of get fucked, pull my dick, it stood for God frequently performs miracles, dude. And it was just all stuff about the Bible but yeah. No, I had a lot of fun doing that shit. But
Before you pull that stuff out, do you want to just move that beer out of the way so we can have a look? That's all right.
I know. So with these, so there's these are called stickers in your drawer. What are they good for? That's what the series of zines is called. The reason they're called that is because, and I wouldn't be surprised if you've got the same fucking problem. When you give people a bunch of stickers, like I've met people, 20 years. Like I met Beans. Oh, there you go.
Stickers that people have given me while I've been doing the show, man. Like, look at that.
So that's it. Stickers in your drawer. What are they good for?
Yeah.
Because everyone gets stickers and they put them in their fucking drawer. And so Beans, who's a guy I've known for like 30 years or whatever, I went to his place. First time I went to his house, and I was doing his stickers. I was doing the latest of these sticker zines. This is only 2 or 3 years ago. He goes, "Oh, I've got some old ones for you." And he just pulled out all these sheets and sheets of stickers. Anyway, so that's why the zine's called Stickers in Your Drawer. What are they good for? And but I've still got some packs of these if anyone's interested in stickers. And you get some.
Put a link. We'll put a link to where you can buy them because I'm sure there's people that are very keen for that. And I've still got some stickers up there you gave me last time. Yeah, man, that's the original.
Yeah, that's an authentic...
That's the OG from what? What year was that?
Oh, that's a good question. Around 2000, turn of the...
Yeah.
Early... No, probably a bit later, 2002, 3.
See, that's too good to stick on stuff, though.
Well, he... Bob gave me like quite a few, but I put most of them up or... these are old. These are when I was talking before about the
green ones.
Green, yeah. Like if you take the edge off.
They're like computer label. I'll move this out of the way now. But yeah, I'll show you some of these stickers later.
Yeah, do. Yeah. Yeah, so these are the original ones that we used to stick all over Melbourne.
Yeah, they're the original ones.
These are the original. These are from Jack Split. I found a couple of boxes of them at home and they're still quite sticky.
Put that green in the. We'll put that in the book where you're going to write your name again.
Yeah,
just because that's a bit of history too.
Yeah, so I found them, so they were quite good. I'd give a sheet of them out with, and you can sort of see some of the examples are, hurry, send $10 now. Like they don't even make sense. It's just got an email address. These are some of the like question authority, go in drains. This one, whatever. I'll just read it out. Cave Clan has whopping big dongs and lots of cash. If you're fucked in the head, write to the Cave Clan. The Cave Clan, we just want to be left alone. Write to... It's got the address.
This is contradictory.
Yeah. And then these were really... There's a thing about, you often hear... Well, I say often, but you hear sometimes about Cave Clan chopping fingers off, and it was because we had this sticker that said, if I don't put up 10,000 stickers, Cave Clan will chop off one of my fingers. But so the stickers were normally like that, like having a laugh. Then nowadays it's all they're designed and printed and glossy and but back then they were just for shits and giggles.
They were the printer sheets. Have a look. See that rubbish bin that I've got there? No, just in front on the table.
Yeah.
See the wheelie bin? Have a look at that. So a dude called Adam sent me that. And I don't know if I've shown you before. No, I haven't.
Where maybe you sent me a photo of it.
Yeah, and if you flip the lid on it, so he's got all the stickers, and see, that's the Cave Clan version. I did a bit of a version.
Yes.
And he's got the stickers on there, and yeah, man, it's pretty well done, isn't it?
That's awesome.
And
who did this?
Adam, I think his name Adam Pooley. He sent me that. And then another dude, see the tram barrier I've got in front there?
That one, yeah. Oh, yeah, nice. I didn't even realise. It's so obvious.
It's a tram barrier.
You need a car. When cars crash up on them. I'll get a photo of that before I go because I have my sticker Instagram page. That'll be good. I'll chuck it.
Was that Cave Clan stickers on Instagram?
Yeah. Although now it's just it is called Cave Clan stickers, but it is now I just do any Urbex related stickers or even just stickers I see in drains, even if they're just like rider stickers or whatever, just whatever I don't go too crazy with it, but I'll get some photos of these you've got around the place.
Definitely. In the drain zone now, you're obviously seeing a lot more stickers, a lot more graffiti, and it's evolved. I guess I see just from following graffiti writers on Instagram that there's a lot of, when they go in the drains, there's pretty much graph everywhere now. Have you slowly seen that take off from when it was just the start of the drains now to down there?
Yeah. So there's a drain called Mini 10th, which is possibly the one we'd go and do if you, because it's made for like soft cocks. So
you got to cut your teeth somewhere.
Yeah. No, it's a nice, easy one. And that had like a lot of, because it was just such a big drain, it had a lot of like sort of funny cave clan shit where we'd just stop and someone would start writing. And it wasn't writing like, you know, it was writing as in...
Steve-O was here.
Yeah, and or giving Steve-O shit because you know Steve-O's going to be there next week or something, you know. So it's just sort of that old, sort of that, you know, not aerosol art. And but there was some funny stuff. And some of it was spray paint and people giving each other shit. We used to give each other... It was before the internet, so we'd give each other shit on drain walls.
It was your message board.
Yeah. And I went down there like not too long ago, but still like 3 years ago. And I thought I'll go and film all the funny old graffiti, but it was just pieces, which looks cool. Like, and that's a drain that people drive their cars through. So that would look cool with all the pieces flying past, you know, and some are even on the roof. Which, aerosol, like graffiti is like all over drains. Whereas graffiti used to be like, they might practice in drains, but it was like, I think in the old days it was considered almost toy, whereas now there's like good quality.
But I guess that, and now because of the internet, people can go down there, do a piece, take a photo. They don't have to say, I'm in a drain. They just say, I'm in a piece.
Yeah, where it used to be all about, you know, the train running, the car running or whatever you call it. But I don't mind it. There's some places where, you know, personally I wish that they hadn't pieced. Like I mentioned, for example, Brian McHugh, when we did the tribute to him and all that, and there was messages from his mother and shit like that, and they pieced over that, and I thought, that's not really necessary. And another one, there was another, in that same drain, there was a, from before Cave Clan, it was which I mentioned last time, what were they called? Drain
dwellers.
No, Drain Dwellers was...
Drainiacs.
Drainiacs, that's right. Yeah, Drainiacs. And we were going to fix it up. Someone had sort of slashed it a bit. We were going to fix it up, and I asked someone to go up and just get the proper colour. And we were going to like clear it because there was pieces. And he said when he went to... We were going to do it on the weekend, and someone went up on like the Wednesday and said, oh, it's gone. Someone pieced over it.
Yeah.
So, and that was like 60 years old. Oh, it was from the 1950s, I think.
Yeah, so it just keeps getting further and further into the drains now.
Yeah, and most people don't give a shit. I mean, a lot of graffitists are very respectable. You know, respect all that kind of stuff. But some don't give a shit. You know, like that's a drain. Like, you know, so they don't. So a lot of our stuff gets gone over.
Yeah.
And will eventually all be gone over. I don't even tag in drains anymore. I do like one little tag, and normally so I just do like that. I just take a photo of it, and when I've been doing my last drains, I've been writing Dougo's last visit to whatever drain.
So you really are going to hang up the boots, you reckon?
So many
I feel like you couldn't stop though, man.
No. So I'll explain it here now. Anytime someone asks me this question, I'm going to say, watch the podcast.
Okay, that's good. More views. I love it.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm just at that age, and I'm not like a little fit, healthy guy like yourself. I just figure that at some stage something's going to happen.
Right.
I'm going to have a fucked knee, or you know. Mm-hmm. So while I'm still able, I'm doing my John Farnham end of the road tour.
Yep.
So I'm doing, and it's going to take me another year or so to do. So I'll end up, late 50s. Then I want to do a podcast thing with the guys, which I'm guessing that'll take me a year or two of my spare time, because I'm only talking about spare time.
Yeah.
You know, which is
can't be a full-time drain enthusiast.
Yeah. So I'm only doing things in my spare time, and then by then I'll be like, you know, late 50s. But I'm still going to go. Like if you contacted me and said, oh, do you mind taking me and this bloke? Mm-hmm. I'm still going to do stuff like that. I'm just doing everything for the last time, and then what happens after that? I'm not allowed to go in drains anymore. I'm just, I'll just cut it back. I'm like, I won't be shooting all these videos that I shoot. And
is there anywhere in Australia that you haven't hit the drains that you want to? I'd say you would have done a lot of them.
I haven't done Perth because a lot of them didn't get found until later, but they're quite hardcore. Like the outlets are flooded or underwater, and you've got to get in through manholes, and the manholes are awkward. And
is there a drain community over there though?
there's a little one, yeah. There's a small one, like 3 or 4 cave clan people, and then there's I don't know, but there are non-cave clan people over there too. But I'm not real. I can't imagine I'm gonna do that. But yeah, no, I haven't been to Darwin to explore drains. There's only a couple there. Plus, crocodiles and all.
You got to watch out for them.
Yeah, well, some of the drains are flooded, so I'd be a bit paranoid.
Yeah.
I think yeah, Tassie. I've done all the other states, and once I do Sydney, depending on the weather, if I get like 4 good days, I won't do all the ones I want to do because they've got a lot more up there that are pretty good, but I'll get enough done. I might go back to Sydney one more time, but
other rural areas though?
Yeah, look, as people find stuff, if they find something decent, I'd definitely go, yeah, I'll keep doing it.
What constitutes something different for someone like me who's a drain novice? What? The height, the different tunnels, the angles that they come off, the depth you go?
Yeah, just variety. So for me, I'd rather it be like minimum 7 foot high.
Because you're tall.
Yeah. I don't care about walking through water and all that, but if it was just a flooded if it was a flooded 7 foot pipe, I wouldn't bother. Like as in just a concrete pipe. But if it had and sometimes you might have a 7 foot round pipe and it goes into in a country town, in a regional area, and then it may have gone under an old bluestone bridge, but the bridge will still be there underground. The pipe will go up to it, they'll join it up to the bridge, and then it'll turn back into a pipe. So features like that, waterfalls, stairways, just interesting things. Whereas these tunnel-toed guys, they're finding a lot, but they're like filthy and, there's they found one at Warrnambool. And they're I'm beyond that. I'm beyond. So when you were saying to me, oh yeah, but I don't want to do anything too. It's like I'm not going to do anything like that anyway. I still probably do stuff that you would find hardcore.
I get a bit claustrophobic thinking about if I had to get on all fours and crawl through a tunnel.
Yeah,
I would almost have a panic attack. I reckon.
No,
it's not for me.
Yeah, I was crawling through a tunnel. What's today? Tuesday. I was crawling through a tunnel 5 days ago. I had to crawl for like 30 metres, but I knew I was going to do it. It was, which is very rare, but they had 2 different tunnel systems and they joined a cross pipe for some reason. I don't know how much it would alleviate flood and all that, but anyway, in the video I was doing, I went in through the one system and then crawled through. I was with other people. That was all right, but I knew. Whereas if I said to you, climb it, crawl into there, like fuck, I don't know what Whereas I knew exactly how far it was going to go, and I literally got to the stage where I was like, fuck this, I can't be bothered. Oh, hang on, it's only another 5 metres. Yeah. Like I was just about ready to,
But you can't turn around if you're in a tight tunnel like that.
No. But you could. This one you could. It was big enough you could turn around. But there's also a spot halfway where you stand up. But
have you ever gone through a tunnel, think you know where you go and you come out of the ground and you're somewhere different? Or is that an amateur move?
Well, there's times where you come out, you don't know where you're going to be. I think I've mentioned this before about when we got out Sloughs once. We got out the small end and we left our bag in the tunnel. So I thought, fuck going through that long, low tunnel, and we tried walking back to the entrance and we couldn't. It was before Google Maps and all that. And we walked around. I don't know how long we were walking around for, but sun was up when we started walking around. And then it got dark and we thought, oh, we're back. We found a way in. But we got back to where we'd come out. So we still had to crawl through to go back and get our bags. And that was like, we spent like hours or an hour or 2. But nah, when you're interstate, if you're not with someone local, it's always... But nowadays you just get your phone and...
Because will your maps work down there?
No, but once you get out... the maps sometimes work.
Yeah, once you get out, you just hit a pin, you know where you are.
Yeah.
Takes the fun out of it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's... I mean, I could talk about that, like... I've had so many people contact me saying, I've got this list of all these drains. I want to go and do Great Stairway. Does that have water out? Do I have to get my feet wet? And you know, they want it to be perfect, and they you know, they've got a list of all the drains offline, you know, from the internet, and I'm like, they're missing out on so much. Like the hunting for them was as much fun as exploring them. Like,
Yeah.
not that they're interesting stories to tell, but just when we used to go looking, like when we found Glass Creek, you know, that day we were noobs, and we sort of got to a lake and we thought, oh, it's not here anymore. They've turned it into a lake. We just didn't understand the concept of how creeks and all that work. This is in the early days. We were just so toy. And we liked riding home, we thought the drain was going to be where the lake was. And we were riding home, so we'll ride on a pushies back up to the road and then head home. And we sort of rode around the bend, and there was this giant tunnel. Like, I literally fell off. I stopped, I was in front, I fell off my bike, I was like, fuck, tunnel. And, but we didn't have the time to do it. So we were like, fuck, that tunnel looks so good. You know, we went home, and then I think we rode back, like, because we were only teenagers. But that was like so much better than just someone going, oh, yeah, it's here, have a pin, you know, like it was that, you know, all
the
those
discovery.
Yeah, the hunt for it, you know, like Stand By Me when they go to look for the body at the, yeah, it's like that. It's like, you know, you have your own adventure getting there, you know.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's good. I showed it to my daughter recently, my older daughter, and
How old is she?
I reckon when she saw it, she was 14.
So it's probably about the same age the kids are in the show.
Yeah, but I think what it was is it's like, it's my movie that I like, that reminds me of that time, whereas it didn't, I don't think it had that same sort of effect on her, which I sort of realised with a few things, the things that, you know, she's creating her own fond memories, you know, not mine. She doesn't need mine, so I sort of gave up on that sort of.
Nostalgia.
I took her up a tunnel that had these glowworms in it, and I was like, when you get, and it's pretty full on to take someone into their first tunnel, and she was like 12 or something at the time, but I wanted her to see it while she still had that childish imagination. And it was just like really cool glowworm tunnel, and we got to the start of the tunnel where it's this concrete pipe for like 5 minutes, but as we were walking towards it, we had to walk half an hour through the bush along a proper dirt track, and I said to her, when we get there, you're going to be scared and not want to go in. Do you want me to make you go in, like to encourage you to go in? She goes, yeah, no, I want to see the glowworms. I go, but if you say you don't want to go in, she goes, nah, I want to go in. I want to go in. As soon as we got there, I don't want to go in. I don't want to go in. I said, let's just walk up. We'll just look at them because the tunnel goes for like 2 hours. I said, but we'll just get to the glowworms, which is 5 minutes away. We'll look at the glowworms and come back. And she really liked it, but she was like, yeah, no, I don't want to go any further. Then when we get back to and there's a gate. We're in a reservoir property. We're on private property. And we get to where my car is, which is parked in this dirt track. And then suddenly this fucking car comes along. I'm like, oh my God, I'm with my 12-year-old daughter on private property. If it's the cops, what the fuck am I going to do? I was shitting myself. And we're still on the other side of the fence to the car. The car's out in where you're allowed to be. They pull up behind my car, and all I can see is bright headlights. And I'm like, Eve, sit down, squat down. And she's like, no. She's in front of the headlights, and then she just waves to them. And I'm like, fuck. I'm just thinking, all this shit's going through my head. I'm picturing myself at the police station having to ring my wife. And anyway, I'm getting ready to say, oh, well, even the fact that I don't want to say how I got in there, but even the fact that I was in there, you know, whoever it is like, and I was like, shit. And then the car just pulls off, turns around, does a U-turn, pulls into the first farm. And I thought, that's a crazy Karen. she like always gives a shit, so we don't normally. I just thought, because it was night time and everything, I just thought she wouldn't see. But she'd come home, and she must just drive down. She always rings the police when she sees people in there, because people go in there and fish illegally and light little fires, and a couple of fires because there's a reservoir there. We go in for the tunnel, but she just thinks we're... Anyway, yeah. So I'm driving home, and we get in the car, I'm driving home, I'm like, fuck. I'm saying to my daughter, if anyone asks what we were doing down there, we were just taking photos of the moon, because it was a full moon. Yeah. And which
You've got to go at a certain time of night for the glowworms to be out.
not really, no.
Right.
Just when it's humid is the best time.
But in here.
Yeah, no, they'd be fucking bright as it. They'd be like light you got here. Anyway, we get home and I get a text from my wife and it says, I'm in the back with Ivy, putting Ivy to sleep. That's a weird text to send me. And when I get home, she's like, oh, she goes, I thought it was you. And no one's, we've lived in this house for nearly 20 years now. No one's ever knocked on our front door. Anyone that knows us just goes around the back. We've got like no spruikers, whatever you call it. No one, we've had maybe 5 people in 20 years knock on our door. She goes, oh, someone was knocking on the front door. So I think the lady has called the police.
They've run the number plate.
Yeah, run the number plate and gone and checked. And it was at night time too, which, even less likely someone would be. So then I was saying to my other daughter, the one that I took, I'm like, okay, if they say this, if they say that, trying to get at her. And she was like, I just realised I keep putting a can in the... yeah, but... and then
and I didn't come back?
No. And I took her to the mini tent, which is the one I take where I take you and children. Actually, that doesn't sound very good. My child.
The novice strain.
Yeah, the novice strain. I took her to that. She loved it. I just wish I had have taken a couple of her friends, but then that gets awkward too. Yeah. But yeah, she really liked it. I got some good photos of her, yeah. I was like, did you tell anyone? She goes, I only told close friends.
Does she think it's cool or she thinks it's a bit, Dad's a bit of a dork with his drains?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think... Well, when she was younger, she'd sort of do almost brag to people about it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. She's pretty... I think she knows it's a big part of my life. So if she did think that, I don't think she'd say it.
Yeah.
Do you, Eve?
I think he's a drain dork. That could be a whole new gang.
Yeah.
The drain dads.
I'm definitely a dork, but like...
The Cave Clan, the original Cave Clan, there's been a lot of members that have gone on to do creative stuff. You mentioned there's a photographer, Ashley, before. Do you want to tell us a bit about him?
Yeah, Ash, he was part of the... actually, they used to call themselves the Hendrix cult, so you can tell how cool they were.
What was the idea? They just loved Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, I just wanted a cool-sounding name, I reckon.
Right.
They're all a bunch of wankers. No, they were all right. They were good guys. Like, my favourite Ash memory is just to put it in the context of where he is now, which is like a worldwide award-winning photographer, war photographer, he came out one night exploring with us and we just did all this stuff around Melbourne, we did the steam tunnels and under the Children's Hospital, and we went into this nursing quarters building, got on the roof, and we were like on the fire escape. We see all these like nurses in there watching movies, and it was just we were all drunk, and we just did all this like crazy stuff. And we got into a abandoned forensic building, but it was just one of these. It was just hectic. We just did all this stuff, unplanned stuff, and it was hectic from the moment we started to when we finished that night. We just kept drinking and exploring stuff. And Ash was with us, and he had this big-ass camera, and he was taking all these photos. And I just remember the tram didn't stop for us, and him running along, kicking the tram with his giant camera around his neck. And I just remember sitting up on top of this nurses' quarters of the Royal Children's Hospital. It might have been Royal Melbourne. They were sort of along from each other. I remember sitting up, having a beer on the roof, and it was like this beautiful scenery, and he's taking a couple of photos.
The photo's still out there?
Hear me out.
Okay.
That's a spoiler.
A spoiler alert.
And
sorry.
Yeah, and he's taking all these photos, and I'm sitting up on the roof, and I'm like, fuck, mate, I can't wait to see it. And he filmed photos on films back. Mm-hmm. On film.
Where are we? Late 90s? When are we talking?
No, we're in the 2000s now. We're probably maybe even like 2006, 7, 8, something like that. Mm-hmm. And he's really drunk, and I'm like, I can't wait to see these photos. Like, you've got enough photos for the next 3 Il Dranos, I reckon. You've been taking awesome photos. And he's like, and we've been doing this for 4 or 5 hours. And he goes, I ran out of film like after 1 hour. I was like, what the fuck have you been taking photos for the last 3 hours for? And he's like, I just find if I take photos, people do shit, you know, like. And so we did all this awesome stuff, and there's no photos of it. There's a couple of photos from the forensics building, which was like shit anyway. Like it literally had rats scurrying through the stuff, and junkies had been living in there. Which actually, speaking of Ash, so we did that forensics building, and when we first went to do it, that on the same night, there was all these dudes with German Shepherds standing out the front, and it had been raided, and they were security. And so we went to the pub and came back later, and they were gone, and we climbed in through a window, and we were literally like, there was mattresses all around. It was disgusting. I hated it. We were like walking through a pathway of rubbish where you could hear rats and that scurrying around. And I actually remember we didn't have many torches with us because I think it wasn't meant to be an exploring thing. It was just to go to the pub, someone's birthday or whatever.
But you couldn't help yourself. Always.
Yeah, get drunk and let's go do something stupid. And we ended up. I remember just going, "Oh, this is shit. I'm going to go back." And we had this one torch, and I said, I'll wait for you outside." And I remember walking through hearing the rats and shit, and then I climbed out the window, and they were in there for another 10, 15 minutes, and they came out. It was an old red brick building in the up near the courts and all that in Melbourne. Anyway, a period of time later, like a week or so later, Ash, who was he might have even still been at uni, but I think he just finished doing photography and all that. And he contacts me and he goes, "Oh, you know when we went into that forensics building, do you mind taking me back? I want to meet some of the junkies in there." Is there probably more politically correct? Yeah. The drug-dependent homeless residents. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, well, when do you want to do it?" And he's like, "Oh, this day." And I was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Yep." And then he hung up, and I told him about another place where there was homeless people and that, you know, we saw syringe packets and that. And he's like, "Can you take me there? I want to..." And then I sort of, after about half an hour, I was like, "Hang on, no, I don't want to go back." I walked out when I first did it, which I don't normally do. And so I rang him back and I said, "Actually, I don't really want to." Actually, Ash wasn't with us the first time. He'd heard the story about it. So I said to him, I'll take you to the window. I'll show you everything, but I don't want to go back in there, especially with the junkies in there. I said, "Are you going to be..." And he was going to do it. I said, "Are you going to be all right going in on your own?" He's like, "Yep." He bought 3 pizzas, 2 bottles of scotch, and he had this camera that was like worth quite a bit, and he put like gaffer tape over it so it looked shit. And he went in and he met all these homeless people, drug addicts. And they introduced him to all these other drug addicts, and he met all these around Melbourne, all these abandoned buildings where all these drug addicts were living, and he did this massive photo shoot, and ended up being like, you know how the age is a broadsheet.
Yep.
Like a big double centerfold of all these photos of, you know, and that was how he sort of broke into.
I bet you've still got the clippings for it?
I have, yes. Yeah, I've got, yeah. Some of the drug addicts ended up trying to sue him because he made money off them and all that sort of stuff.
They got pizza? They
got pizza and bourbon or whatever he bought them. But yeah, so he actually, through the Cave Clan, and then he did another... He did the photos. I don't think he might have did the words, but he definitely did another thing for the Age on the Cave Clan. Like, and a lot of his photos that you see around online, like they'll be us climbing a tower, a shot tower thing, and walking around the building or in these tunnels. They're from that article. So he really did get. I mean, he does mention Cave Clan sometimes, but I don't think. I don't know. I get the feeling he actually. He would have made it anyway, but that was his start, was through knowing the Cave Clan. He also did photos of, you know, the skaters and things like that at the same time. But
did he reach out via the stickers or via a website or something at that stage?
No, through friends. This is when he was just a, whatever, like 17-year-old. He was a funny guy. I liked Ash. He tells a story about how him and Bob and the guinea pig guys, they opened a manhole and they wanted to see if they could get out of this drain, their local drain called Great Stairway. They thought this would be an awesome way to get in and out. So Ash went into the drain. He might have went along on a skateboard, and they went to meet him in the tunnel. For some reason, it took him longer than he thought. They got there and they thought, oh, he's not coming, and they left. Ash got to the end. They went to the wrong spot. That's right. They found this other little side pipe and thought, oh, he's going to come through here, and they couldn't hear him or anything, so they kept walking along and in the main tunnel. And anyway, Ash eventually got to where this little pipe joins in to this drain called Great Stairway, and it was really high up. And he's like, where are they? And he's like, he couldn't turn around. Speaking of claustrophobic, he's coming on this skateboard in this tiny little pipe. And so eventually he's just sort of lowered himself out and he slid, I don't know, probably 4 metres, slid down the wall and he actually knocked himself out. But he tells the story of like coming...
Holding a camera?
No, he didn't have a camera. He did. This is not a photo story, but he tells the story of he just remembers waking up and his hair was wet, so he'd slid down. He was in the drain. He'd lost his torch, and he goes, "I just remember opening my eyes and Ronald McDonald was walking towards me and started came up and started stroking my hair, like brushing my hair."
What do you mean it was Ronald McDonald?
So I don't know. Obviously, he fell on his head and had some serious issues. But he always seemed to get in those situations. But then, I mean, he had other he worked his way up, and I know there was a time where I was threatening legal action because when that Brian McHugh kid died, The Age asked me for a quote, and I spoke to them, and they put my real name in this other explorer had given them my real name, and they put my real name in the paper.
Oh, wow.
And they said that, the reporter said that I said they could use it. And I was like, fuck, why in the lowest moment of my exploring career, like kid dying, mother ringing me, and why would I say, yeah, put mine, when I never give permission to use my real name? So I can't remember. It's hard to take legal action against a reporter for something like that because it was just my word against his. But Ash was giving me background information. Oh, they're actually a bit worried and all this sort of shit. They ended up getting rid of him. They offered to apologise. I was like, what are you going to do? Say my name was Joe Blow. We apologise for using Joe Blow's real name. You know, like whatever.
We'd appreciate everyone calls him Dougo again.
Yeah. Don't call him Joe Blow. That's his real name.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had a lot of running, what do you call it? Things with Ash. Like, I knew him quite well. He, then he moved over to America. Just Google him. It's probably because it's a visual thing.
Yep.
But yeah, Google Ashley Gilbertson. He's done I think the book's called like Foxtrot something or other. He ended up getting the postnatal depression from some of the shit that happened to him in...
Not postnatal depression, PTSD.
Yes. Yes, sorry, Ash.
Post-traumatic stress
disorder. I said it correct when we were talking about it before the podcast. He may have got the other thing. No, he probably didn't. And he did so he's done a book on... He's done a really cool book. Well, I liked it, but... So in America, when soldiers get killed, there's a thing that a lot of parents do where they keep their room exactly as it was, and they put all their war stuff in there and photos and everything. And Ash has done a book on, I can't remember what it's called, but he's done a book on where it's just have the parents standing in the room. It's just photos, and he tell a story about the. And I think I remember him saying he did it as part of his help to help him.
His therapy.
Yeah, as part of his therapy. Yeah, he got the Foxtrot book, which is awesome, like some amazing photos. I think I told the story about, and I don't like telling the story without saying that I might not be telling it 100% correctly. When my wife and I were in the lounge room and we had it on SBS. We were in the kitchen and in the lounge room we had the TV on SBS, and I was like, hang on, I know that voice. And I went in and it was Ash. And it was a documentary about media people that have post-traumatic stress disorder. I was going to say it again. Post-traumatic stress disorder. And Ash was in the middle of telling this story. And, you know, as I said, the correct version is out there, but it goes along the lines of he was... they were in a building in maybe Baghdad or something, and there was a sniper shooting, and the soldiers he was with, American soldiers, they weren't stressed about him. I think he said they were playing cards and shit like that. The sniper was just shooting randomly. I think it was just more to keep, so the soldiers couldn't walk around freely. The snipers would just shoot randomly around. This is one of Saddam's snipers. And anyway, he's like, can I go up to the top, climb up this tower and get a photo? Now, it's all, I think he said it's all like corrugated tin. They couldn't see him. And the guy, the soldier in charge said, if you can get one of these guys to go up with you, yep, go up. And, as they were going up, a bullet went through the thing and hit the soldier. I'm not sure if he died there or later, but apparently Ash was like right there when he... And I think he felt a bit like I talked him into going up type thing.
Hence the PTSD.
Yeah. And I'm not, that's the gist of the story. I'm sure, I'm sure it's not exactly as I said it, but that's the gist of it. So, yeah, it's pretty fucked up. But, he's...
He's a definite Cave Clan success story.
Yeah, so on that thing from... It's getting on a while now, but that ABC Arts thing we did where I think, Tim Stone interviewed Ash, but it was just over the phone. But he's definitely I think they say that in the voiceover lady says, and probably the most successful of them. Not probably.
Were you happy with that piece, the way it ended up?
I think it was the best media, other than the original 3000 podcast. I think it was the best... media thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
By a long shot.
I think it did well, but I wasn't there. But I feel like I really got a good slice of it. Do you think half an hour was long enough? Like, they could have gone, as a viewer, I would have watched more of it.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was like it wasn't a, it was like a fit, what do you call it? A slot thing that would slot into, I don't like my niece who, I had a few people say, but my niece is like, did I just see you on an ABC ad? So what they did was for the summer, they did like, this summer, catch up on ABC. But it wasn't for the TV, it was for online. Yeah. And but then they just have me in the middle of the ad going, I just like mucking around in drains or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, fuck. And then, when that happens, that's when I start thinking, someone from work's gonna, find like I remember when I worked at this factory warehouse thing and the truck driver, they've got an Interstate truck driver, and he just walks in and he goes, hey, Dougo! And I was like, fuck, why is he calling? And he just throws this magazine that I was in, and it's like, when they took this photo of me, I said, oh, that had a flash. Is it going to show me? Nah, just lighten up the background. It's just got this photo of, this double-page photo of me in this pipe with a big shit-eating grin. And he just throws it on the table, the whole workplace. So it went from not knowing about Cave Clan to, oh, yeah, that sounds cool. Can we join?
Then they want to hear the stories.
Yeah, I know. But I'm not, I'm not really the type of person to. But, So, Ash was good. Big Ears, I mean, normally I wouldn't say real names, even though I just did with Ash. But Big Ears... is pretty well known in that his niche of recording. He records music sounds. He makes his own instruments. I'm not the best person to talk about it because I just make it sound. I'm just not that into it enough.
Would he do an episode? Is it too
he does do stuff. So yeah. I'll
very interesting.
I'll run it by him. Yeah.
We'll save it for your show.
I reckon if you, I know you've talked every now and again about maybe doing them online. I reckon he'd be much more likely if that happens.
Yeah. Still haven't gone down that route.
No.
Yeah.
But, Matt Netheim, he was the first Cave Clan member to write to our post office box, and we were like, I remember checking the post office box, and I've told this story a bit, so I'll tell the short version. But basically, I went to the post office box, and I thought, we've only been putting stickers up for like 3 days. It is impossible that there will be anything in there. By the time someone saw a sticker and wrote a letter, but I'm going to check it anyway. It was Friday, and I think we put the stickers up Wednesday, and there was a letter in there, and it was addressed to the Cave Clan. I was like, God, cool, a letter. But it wasn't just, it's one of the coolest letters we ever got.
Yeah.
I opened it up, and it was from this guy, Matt Netheim, and it had like all these photos of drains around Melbourne that he'd taken, and he'd had them all stuck onto a sheet, and he had Cave Clan tags and that. I was like, fuck. And yeah, he ended up joining, and he was in the clan for years, for 2 or 3 years. He was a student, and he did a doco on us, which I never saw the finished product. But
when you say, I've just got to ask, when you say join, is there some sort of induction process, a ritual you have to ask other people, or as Iron Fist Dougo, do you get the final say in those days?
I never got the final say. Yeah, the Iron Fist thing is more to do with like getting things sorted out that would normally take a lot longer. That sort of was a nickname given to me. But no, he would. Well, back then he would just, we like him and we just invite him to stuff. So you're in it.
And you're in it, and you got to have a name. You can't have your normal name.
Yeah, well, we called him because he'd always go on about, because he's very artistic. He's awesome, Matt. But he'd always go on about shades of green. He'd like, oh, that's a nice shade of green, and thongs. He was doing it. He did a photo thing of all these old thongs, and he was like, he'd be walking along and he'd pick up a thong and he'd hold it up, the common child's thong, and he was very artistic. And but actually, these 3 guys, Big Ears, these 3 guys that I've just mentioned are all in that ABC documentary. But Tim, Matt went on he's a rabbit-proof fence and things like that. He did photography for.
Wow.
He's done a lot of movies. He lives on Kangaroo Island now. But I every now and again we catch up online. Like, I haven't met him for a long time, but lots of talented people, and I'm sure there's heaps more. They're the ones that jump out at me, but I'm sure there's a lot more.
With that ABC doco, did they reach out to you first and then ask you to, or they put it together?
No, they reached out. Well, Tim Stone, who made it, he did a similar thing for on the 70K guys. And
is that online? I haven't seen that. Is that on ABC?
You might have. Well, ours isn't on ABC either anymore.
Oh, it's on YouTube. Though.
Yeah, I put it on a couple of places.
Oh.
I've got it on my account, and I've got it on the Cave Clan Media account. I don't know if it's around. I'll ask Tim. But people don't mention it, but 70K, probably 3/4 of the 70K guys were Cave Clan members.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very close. So Tim had more or less become a casual Cave Clan member anyway. So it's very positive. Tim, after it came out, we were at the pub and Tim goes, "You owe me a beer because I made you sound good." Yeah, or I didn't make you sound like a cunt or something like that. I was like, yeah, fair enough, fair call. Because I'm in a couple of the segments, but I think each segment goes for 5 minutes or something. And he did a lot to get that 5 minutes out of me. He probably out of an hour of interview, he got it down to 5 or 6 minutes. So he did make me sound
concise.
Yeah. Cut out all the and mahs. That's what I do when I'm doing my drain walks. I'm doing the drain when I'm talking on it. I just cut out all the.
Well, we can't do that today because it's live. We don't really edit these.
No, you don't. I'm fucked.
Then I want to ask you about the Albert Park Lake experience.
Oh, yeah.
Because my grandparents, I grew up around the corner from there, and I've fallen in that lake before as a kid. But I didn't even know the drains. Obviously, there's a drain there, but I wouldn't even know where the drains or how the drains work there. Tell us about the Albert Park Lake drains. So,
it's changed now. So, anyone that's thinking, I'm going to do this...
Because it's not that deep.
No.
It fell in.
Oh, it's not even.
No, and it's just a big concrete pool.
Yeah. It's not... well, I only know the bit that I used to have to stand in, but so what I'm about to explain, they've now put a wooden deck over it. It goes out maybe. I haven't seen a deck, but I know it goes out like 10 to 15 metres, and so they use it for. So that gets in the way of what I'm about to tell you. But basically, at the south end of the lake, there were these slits, and they were probably 30 centimetres wide. And when the lake overflowed, it would just overflow into these slits, and there was probably about 5 or 6 slits.
Yep.
And
like an infinity pool type scenario. So it just overflows and then flows in. Yeah. Yeah,
so it overflows into that, and then it goes that all those slits flow into a pipe or a rectangular tunnel, and then that goes through that into a bigger one, which is still pretty small, and then it flows out. It goes. There's an open section near the light rail, which is one of the entrances to the Grand Prix there. So you just have to be careful jumping in because they'll have a security guard on there, especially once I think they started realising people were using it for that. And then it went through to the beach, South Melbourne, Park South Melbourne
Go down
Beach.
Kerford Road.
Yeah, Kerford Road. Yeah, down that way.
That's where my basketball went in the drain.
Oh, okay.
Kerford Road there, yeah.
Kerford Road Pier is where Favreau, who's a old school famous cave clan guy that died, that's where they scattered his ashes at Kerford Road.
Right. He was from that area, or he just liked
No, he's from Adelaide, but he just liked the beach, so they just picked somewhere nice. But but you wouldn't go all the way through to the beach. You just get in at the light rail, and it's a pain in the ass. You've sort of got to crawl a lot of the way. You don't get wet when you're crawling through the tunnel, but you got to crawl for like 15, 20 minutes. But then you're coming into the tunnel, you come up to the slits, and then you're basically looking out at water level, and then on top of these slits is this footpath. People walk around the lake, and so you're on as you're crawling through, you can hear Grand Prix cars coming through side pipes, which is pretty cool. I've actually got an audio sample of it somewhere, and you just go through this tunnel, going past the side pipes and they're fucking loud. And that was my favourite part of the thing, hearing them through the side pipe. And then you get to the slit, and you sort of, the way we used to do it was you put one leg out into the water, and as you said, it's not very deep. I think it was like shin deep there. And then you sort of reach around onto the footpath and you pull yourself up, but you've got 1 foot stand, to keep on the ground, and you just slide yourself out. So you'd end up with wet up to the knee, but the rest of you would be dry.
But meanwhile, there's GP punters everywhere.
Yeah. So what you do is, because there's like 5 slits, and there'd be 5 or so of you, you all get out, get in a position, and you go, right, go. And you all come out. So if there's a security guard there, and you'll just go off different ways or whatever. And, you look like you're trying to start some kind of new trend when you're walking around all with like one wet knee, like 5 of you, one wet knee went up to your knee, like when they used to leave the strap hanging off there or whatever, So we did that a couple of times, and I don't know, I just did it for the thrill. I'm not into Formula One at all. I remember lying down, just listening to them, lying on the grass in the sun, listening to them as my one leg dried off. But the thing that was good was was when Kiss played at the Grand Prix one night, and we went. A few of us went through, did the whole thing, crawled through, got in, got the one wet leg, and got to see Kiss play.
Wow.
I'm not sure what year that was, probably like 2004 or something. You can Google it. So that was good, and I don't know how many of us got. It wasn't heaps of us, but there's 3 of us standing there with the one wet leg. The one wet leg posse.
I've snuck into the Grand Prix before as a young person, but we just jumped the fence. That's pretty extreme.
Well, that was the fun thing. I mean, that was like people used to in Sydney and Adelaide. There's drains that you could sneak into the big day out.
Really?
Yeah. They used to get into big day out, and it became a thing. Like
have you done it or that?
I haven't, no. But Cave Clan have done it, and it just got bigger and bigger. And it got to the stage where security knew it was going to happen.
Right.
But they'd open the manhole and they'd just all start pouring out, and they'd just all scatter, and they'd grab the first couple they'd grab and chuck them out. But then they started putting like a security guard in the drain.
Wow.
And it had signs, which I've seen these signs. In the Adelaide one, it's got no entrance to whatever park.
Yep.
It's like stuck on the drain wall. They said, but they put a security guard down there to stop people. So then people would get in a manhole, go through the tunnel and get out another manhole rather than going through the entrance where the security guard was.
Oh.
So so normally you just walk in through the tunnel where it's open, go through and get out the manhole. They put a guard on there, so then they go from further up the drain, get in a manhole in a park.
Come back the other way.
Yeah, so they're behind the security guard already. So it's a lot of fun. That kind of stuff is like, that's a sort of a different, that's not just your normal wandering through tunnel. Infiltration, like I was mentioning before, sneaking into locations, but that's similar to using a drain to infiltrate places, but that was a lot of fun.
What about, is there any fun topside stuff, like the Nilex Tower? Have you been up there? That's been, a lot of people have been up there lately.
The Nilex Tower is like one of those places.
Iconically Melbourne.
Yeah, and iconically, Graffiti and Urbex, and I think Paul Kelly did Leaps and Bounds. That song, they filmed it on there, which is if you want to see what it used to be like, Google.
So it's missing a pillar now.
Yeah, it seems to be gradually going, but we used to go up there heaps. We were going up there before. We used to go up there when you could catch a lift to the top.
Really?
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, you just go in the lift and
fully functional lift, even though it was abandoned.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure how bad. I think we used to go on. I'm pretty sure, but the clocks were still lit. The clock and the temperature thing was still lit. I think it was partially abandoned, but I think part of it was still used. But we had our anniversary. I think it was it 94? I think, and around about then, and we'd been at the Cricketer's Arms and we were pretty drunk. We bought a slab and we thought, let's go do Nilex Towers, and we climbed in and we caught the lift up. And there wasn't many of us, there was about 10 of us.
Catching a lift almost seems like cheating.
Yeah, we're pretty drunk. It's scary. I'll explain it to you in a minute why it's scary. But we caught the lift up. I think you can only 4 or 5 at a time, and it was only a little lift. Yeah, and we're just sitting up on top of the clock and on the top of the silos, just having a few beers, and then we're sort of sitting there and we're like, oh, there's a fire truck in the back streets of Richmond, sort of coming down a street, whatever, a kilometre away or whatever. Well, there's an ambulance coming like from the other direction towards, and there's a couple of police cars. Oh fuck, there's another fire truck. All these fucking emergency vehicles just working their way to, obviously, shit. So we got there. They all got there, and we're like, oh, fuck, what are we going to do? And we just thought, fuck, there's no point trying to, you're on top of a friggin' silo. I think someone did go and hide in amongst some stinking yeast thing, but that was scary getting in. So I said, I'm just going to walk out. I'm just going to go out there. It's otherwise.
You're not going to jump off, are you? How else are you going to get there?
Well, I'm not going to hide, or I'm not going to try and sneak out a back door. I just thought it's going to just become this massive chase, and you end up in more shit. And so I caught the lift down. That was the scary thing, catching the lift, just waiting for the doors to open, expecting to see this cop there. And but there wasn't a cop there. We all got out, and a couple of the guys were like, "I'm bailing." I was like, "All right, I'm not going to mention your names or anything. Just met you at the pub." That was the story. We all said, we all just met at the pub and saw the thing and decided to go up. And anyway, we walked out and literally turned a corner and there was a cop standing there, and he was shitting. He was like, fuck, like, I'm here on my own in the dark. And I just said, yeah, we're coming out. And he started doing the police voice, yeah, we're coming out. And they got us all out the front. And then the cop came with our slab that we had left, and he like trying to get it over, and he just tried to throw it over the fence. It got hooked on the barbed wire. It was a plastic wrapped, and the one can was pissing out beer, and it was like, oh fuck. And then, actually, there probably closer to 15 of us, and then the police were like, had us all spread out, and then.
Did anyone take off?
I think someone did hide in there.
Oh, you mentioned someone hid, but no one tried to bolt.
No one tried to bolt in the end, and then. I just remember what I said. I remember one guy, Night Stalker, was saying to me, "What should I say to them? What should I say to them?" And and they could hear, and I was like, "Just tell them what you're doing." I was like, "Don't fucking drag me, and don't make me look like the leader."
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, "This is a long time."
All they can get you for is trespassing and what, like...
And throwing beer cans at a cop, because that's what the cop's like. Who was throwing a beer can at us? I'm like, no one. Later, and he didn't admit it for like a year, but there was a guy called Mirror who was a fairly well-known graffitiist back in the day in Melbourne, back in the 90s. Yeah, he said, I saw the cops and I saw them getting out of the car, and he goes, I chucked a beer can
the top?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. And that's what the cop was shitty about. And I was like, but I was being really honest. I was like, no, none of us are that dumb. We weren't chucking, and didn't find, and Mirror took a while to, but anyway, I just remember what I said to them though, like, what's your excuse? I was like, I don't know, mate. We were just drunk and went up. And then they said, well, you're going to have to go to court and you're going to be this and that. And I just said, well, I just lost my job and I'm trying to find a job, so, it's going to make it really hard. I started trying to plead to them.
The sob story.
Yeah. And then after a while, they took down our names and details. There was a couple there who were under 18. They were like friends of someone that came along. And the police took them to for underage drinking.
Oh, wow.
And then they took all our details, but they went and got locked up. They took all our details. And this is like, sometimes cops do things that surprise you. I think they realised we weren't fuckwits, And, sorry, I realised we were all right people. And the two, they're both females too, the two girls had to go, who are still, well, one of them is still a Cave Clan member to this day. I'm losing my train of thought. Oh yeah, so they let us go, and we all wandered off and like shit. And they might have kept another guy for some reason. And then they said, these people said, the ones that got arrested said, we've all got to go to court on this date. And I was like, all of us? And they're like, yeah, they said we're all going to go to court. And then, so we did the thing, checked the court, on the day of court, I think there was 3 of them, all had to go to court. But I had it was obviously my name, but they'd written swapped my name around or something. They'd done something, or swapped a couple of our names around. And I was like, I'm not fucking going to court if they're, they've swapped our Christian names around. Yeah, so we've got each other's surnames.
Yeah.
And, you see all these names and they're like, we reckon the cops had
bodged it up.
Yeah, I don't know why, because you'd think that would work against them. Anyways, nothing ever happened with us. The other ones just got fines for drinking and underage drinking or whatever. I think they took them away because they were going to try and find where they got the beer from. And maybe they said the third person is who they said gave them the beer, so that he got fined for supplying alcohol to her. I'm pretty sure that's how it was. But that was like I said, 94 or something. So is that 30 years? Yeah, over 30 years ago. So people that go up there now, I'm like, I wouldn't go up there if you gave me an escort. Like it was so much better back then. A lot of things are like that, but we did it heaps of times.
When you said that one of those people is still a Cave Clan member to this day, are you still a Cave Clan member, or you're a founding member, or the politics has changed?
I've always been in the Cave Clan. I've never done anything to get kicked out. Like I've given myself a ban, banned myself just basically because I wanted a break from it. But I've never. I paid out on this guy once, who to this day. I mean, I wasn't wrong.
In person, or is this?
No,
online?
I did it on a private, but every Cave Clan member was on a chat. I just listed all these shit things he'd done. This led to the meth. He was one of the meth guys, and
so you think that it took a change in a certain period. In the later days, it became more drug focused.
Yeah, just that period, it became like with these guys, and then he got a few others that were good members. He got a few of them into the meth, but anyway, I wrote a list of 100 shit things that he'd done.
A lot of things.
Yeah, and then I said, but the way I went about it was I just gave it to everyone, and then I said, right, I'm going to give myself a 12-month ban. I never went back to that part of the clan. But anyway, I should update that because things are heaps better now. Like, it's like most of the meth guys are gone. A few have been kicked out. A couple have sort of done things, almost ended up in jail. It's heaps better at the moment, which is good. So anyone listening from the Cave Clan or that have left the Cave Clan because it got a bit shit, it might be worth looking at if you're interested at going back and saying hello.
Yep, it's a different place now.
Yeah, much better, yeah. And a lot of the older people came back, and they came back, a few of them came back through my videos and that, and I was like, oh yeah, they came back and got involved, and they've changed it too, sort of having I've still got a couple of people there that I have issues with, and main reason I wouldn't go is I don't want to piss them off and then ruin whatever's happening. But next year is the 40th anniversary of the Cave Clan, so I'd like to get involved in something with that. That might be
the Clannies. Would you go to the Clannies?
Yeah, well, for the 30th anniversary and the 20th anniversary, we had the Clannies and the anniversary on the same weekend, and people came from around overseas and but Interstate, and a really big weekend. I'll see but I'm not really in a position to say this is what we should do. I mean, I can say, why don't we do this? Is anyone interested in doing this? And if it, run it up a flagpole and see if anyone salutes it.
Is there like a hierarchy? Is there a CEO? Is there somebody who's in charge? Because I feel that you might have held that title for a while.
Well, there's a few like Sir and Alien. A lot of these people Sir's always been there, or been there for a long time. But a lot of these people that came back, they sort of stepped into that position. So I think it's just a group of people, and they just work it out on a. I'll give you an example of how it's changed. A lot of these people that have come back, Alien, who she's the one that I suggested maybe doing the podcast and your podcast, and she was interested, but she's a transit officer, and she's a Cave Clan, long-term Cave Clan member.
She wrote back one day, maybe, I think.
Yeah, she went from, I'll do it, to thinking that attitude changed at work, because she kind of kept doing Cave Clan stuff and letting them know. Anyway, just recently, like in December, just before Christmas, I think, there was the Museum of Victoria, or whatever it's called, Museums Victoria. They had which it wasn't publicised, I don't think it was that big a deal. But in Brunswick, they had a storage thing where they stored all museum stuff that they couldn't fit into museums or was being repaired or whatever. Mm-hmm. And a high pressure water pipe burst, and it flooded their storage area. And in this, like, it must have been like a big warehouse, there was a grate that went into the drain, and all this shit washed down into the drain. And when they came in, it had been flooded, the whole thing had been flooded, and they'd lost hundreds of artefacts and things.
Like literally like museum shit?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, like dinosaur bits and pieces. And it wasn't all like a lot of it were copied, like they'd made copies of things. And there's an article out and about that Matt Stone, the guy who did the ABC art thing, he did a thing on it. And Alien was saw this wherever it was on the news, and Alien saw it, and I think it was Alien that instigated it. And so she just got all these Cave Clan people, and they went and found the local drain, and they popped the manhole, and they went in, they just found, like, I don't know how many, but dozens, 50, all these artefacts. And luckily they'd got blocked up in the drain, but then they got scuba gear. They went back a second time, they got like diving gear and went into the creek out the front. They found some bits like 3 kilometres away.
Wow. How long ago was this?
This is like this Christmas.
Wow.
Like a month ago.
Jesus.
And then they went back to the to the storage place, and they were like, we don't want, you can't take this stuff. And they're like, no, we're bringing it back to you. Here, have all this shit. And they were like, they never quoted, like in the article, they because they're a government thing, But at first they were really like, oh, no, that's not good. You can't do this. And then, but they were really grateful in the end. And then, so I don't know what my point of that was, but yeah, it was
it's a fucking good story.
Good story, good deed. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I guess I'm saying that, yes, the Cave Clan's back to doing good things again. I mean, I'm not saying they weren't, but it got really, not only with the meth, it also got where it's super secret urbex. No one's allowed to know what we're doing. Where it seems to be a bit more relaxed now, like a bit more, like back in the day, I remember Beans and a few guys when we used to go into this drain in, that goes under, in Bundoora under La Trobe Uni, and ducks and rabbits. Have I ever told you this story? Ducks and rabbits used to fall in, or ducks would fly in, but they couldn't fly back out, and rabbits would fall in. And we found one once and it had a cracked shell. It was still alive, but you could see its flesh underneath it. So we sort of got the turtle and put it in a bucket of water, and we tried to find a vet, but we ended up taking it to Melbourne Zoo and took it in to the vet. They let us in. And we took it to the vet, and they said, "Oh no, we'll put. We've had this happen before. We'll put fiberglass on it. What do you want to call it?" I can't remember what we called it. They said, "We'll let it go in the zoo." And then, then Beans and a couple of other guys went back, and there was dead ducks and everything in there. And they were rotting, and there was dead animals. So they went to one of the wildlife people, They contacted the uni and they put like mesh over it to stop animals dying in there, so like the good deeds,
Maybe that's why some of them have got those bars down here, because there's kangaroos around there.
I mean, maybe, but yeah, the La Trobe Uni thing, the mesh works. Like you don't find dead animals in there, although you still. When I did it recently, the first time in years and years and years, there was like ducks dead, like hanging through the mesh, with then long stretched neck, and it stunk. So it's still a bit of a death trap. But I think we were maybe, I don't know why, we always tried to do, like even with the stickers we were talking about earlier, like, fuck national action, if people putting shit stickers, and it's the same, I think urban explorers are mostly left wing, and if there's a guy in Sydney called Blue, I think, and he used to do, swastika-y stuff and that, but he didn't last. Same in Melbourne. People just go over your shit, and if you're, it's very sort of chilled out generally. Like probably I don't actually probably similar to the graffiti culture. Most people are just into what they're doing, not like trying to make you fucking hate people or whatever.
Yeah, like anything. Do it because you love it, and don't tell anyone else what to do. Just be a good fucking person, Doug.
Yeah. That's
the moral.
Yeah. I follow on YouTube. I follow this explorer in Sydney. Her name's Abandoned Angel, and she finishes every video with "Be kind to each other," blah blah blah. Very positive, and it's the same every episode. And it's true. Yeah. If just treat each other with respect and be kind to each other, look after each other.
I think that's probably a good way to try and wrap things up, Dougo. I appreciate you coming in, man. Do you want to tell us about anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I'd say by the time...
This is going to come out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So we'll have... the Cave Clan would have had their 39th anniversary, and so I'll probably spend the night in jail. But no, look, yeah. You obviously you can tell by the length of the previous episode, which everyone should go and have a look at.
Yeah.
And this episode that I could talk about stuff upcoming and whatever, but I need to shut up and I need to get home. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble.
You'll be in trouble.
Yeah, but no.
Dougo, I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you being the first ever returning guest on the show. You did episode 9 and you're going to do episode whatever this is going to be. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate your support the whole time. Thank you.
No worries. Once again, it's been a pleasure, and hopefully I'll be back in another 150 episodes or whatever.
No, we'll have you back before that, I'm sure.
Well, we might do some of those live things. I see you live sometimes and think I'll jump on, but yeah, just got to, when the planets need to align. But yeah, cheers. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Dougo.
3,000.